One hit wonders, then we're gone. Hey, it's the Bennington Show on a Tuesday. I'm Ron Bennington. Gail Bennington stuck in this, what's ever going on in the city. I don't understand how they could shut down Fifth Avenue in the middle of the day. I had to jump out of my cab, make it down the fucking street like a ham and egger. You know what I mean? You never see Burt Reynolds having to do shit like this. And believe me, I feel like my career and Burt Reynolds exactly the same.
I don't know what's up with the traffic. I just see firemen walking around in the city. Like
there's firemen all over the fucking place. There's firemen 20, 30 blocks in every direction.
Like in their like dress clothes.
I don't know if I'd say that. I saw them with, if you call dress clothes, having a helmet on and being in a fire truck. What you saw were the officers.
There you go.
Look at this. This whole thing's fucked up. I can't even get this mic close to me. What are we going to do to get it set up here in the daytime? Who do I need to talk to? Vito?
Yeah, that's on me.
You got a lot on your mind, though. The fucking Star Wars is on DVD today.
It's a big day.
Jersey Shore kids are in here with, by the way, not even recognizable.
No.
They are middle-aged Dominicans, they look like to me. Middle-aged, thin Dominicans. There's a deepness to that tan that we used to take tan moms' children away because of it.
Looks like their skin's going to crack at any moment.
I can't believe none of them have been with Stormy Daniels.
Right?
Pauly D was with somebody that was infamous for being with somebody else, but he said he didn't find out about it till after the fact. I can't remember who it was.
Aubrey O'Day?
That's it. And she was with Junior.
Yeah.
She was with DJT.
I wonder if he's still DJing.
Yeah, he's big.
Is he?
Yeah, I just read a thing the other day. He gets, I mean, he's not as big as the top guys.
No.
But he gets fucking cash for going out and hitting play on that fucking laptop. There's a lot of money in, that second tier DJing. Like, you're not the draw, but you just show up at some fucking corporate retreat and there's fucking bubbles flying around. It's no different than Nickelodeon's big fucking award show where shit's falling from the ceiling.
Slime.
And the kids are going crazy. I saw they finally pushed out that guy that they had accused of something at Nickelodeon. That he was a fat kid actor and then he became a big producer for them.
Dan Schneider.
Was that him?
Yeah.
So he's out after all these years.
That's crazy because he runs to this day he runs like their top shows. But wow.
Well, it was very funny because I read all their top shows that he's developed that I never heard of one. I think a lot of it, if you want a big show on Nickelodeon, and it's like a sitcom thing, Twins. You always have to, something about little kids, they fucking love to watch a show about twins and always have.
And they always run for like a 3-year max. Like it seems like all those shows.
Well, the kids grow out of it. Nobody wants to see a twin with pubes, male or female. Here's what I give them credit for. I mean, if you are going to have that thing, that's the perfect station for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like if somebody was in the fucking Black Chicks and they got a job at BET. I mean, if you like the youngsters, Nickelodeon, what a place. And there's just always these terrible pictures of them sitting on his lap and shit.
Yeah, it's real creepy.
Joe.
Hey.
Hey.
There's a firefighter funeral going on downtown, I believe.
Oh, that's the one with the guy who was the hero and got the lung cancer and was abandoned by the world's mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we like the idea of firemen, but when it comes to helping them, we've been pretty shitty about it.
Yeah.
All right, good call. And you know what? For knowing something, my staff does it. Pretty good prize closet. That thing is stuck in my fucking head.
It was a great one-hit wonder. I thought they were going to be huge.
Well, you know, he was with Liv Tyler. It was that. Hey, G. So here's what we found out. There's a big fireman funeral today.
Is that what I saw?
Firemen everywhere,
dress,
right?
Like
Yeah.
their traditional dress.
Yeah. Chris said it this way. He goes, I saw a fireman in a schmata. And I go, that can't be the word, Chris. Yeah.
That's offensive, I think.
Is it to who? Who gets offended by that? Would that be a Jewish?
I think the Jews.
The Jewishes.
schmata?
Yeah.
That's what Don Jameson said. I was wearing that one day.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just like, it's a bandana.
I know, but it was fucking hilarious. Jameson does his own thing, man. He is fucking hilarious. Is this guest in the building?
Yes, he is.
Oh, Rachel Feinstein.
Nice.
Hey, did you
I
see
love
the
her.
Jersey Shore kids?
I didn't see them. Are they out there?
They were taking pictures when I came in. Middle-aged and the deepest, scariest tans. Like a Dominican third base coach. It's the best way to put it. I mean, they look like they were tan from the inside out. I'm like, who's the five belts here today? That's Jersey Shore.
What's the little one's name?
Snooki?
Yeah, Snooki. Her, I never recognize anymore. She looks so different.
She changed her entire look. Good for her. Good for her.
She
Run
looks
with
great.
it, baby. They're all in Jersey now, I think. Most of them are in Jersey because they didn't start that way.
They were. Oh yeah, they were all vacationing.
Yeah, it was
like summer or spring break.
Yeah, spring break type of deal. Really, what we used to call when I was younger, senior week, and that was the week after graduation. Everybody goes down the shore, gets in a fight, gets fucked up, gets busted for no fucking reason, kicked out of their fucking house. There would always be this thing. There was these like Eastern Europeans, and they would have these big fucking shitty shack houses, and they would just rent out the rooms. And as soon as they rented you the room, they wanted you out. And the whole fucking premise was because they would re-rent that room.
Oh, gotcha. So
fuckers. It was literally a city of 18-year-old drunk kids. But if you were smart, when you were down there looking for girls, pick a girl who went to an all-girl Catholic school.
Nice.
They were ready to break the fuck out. And they wanted to date someone they had never saw before and were never going to see again.
It's senior week.
It's senior week, and I want to get nasty with someone that can't tell my brother and my cousin. You know, as much as they try to suppress, we're always trying to suppress the kids, and it just builds up that pressure more.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Don't they say anytime they're teaching abstinence to kids, it's like it's always the worst. It's worse than teaching safe sex. They always say.
And yet, we're going back to that now. They're trying to push more, just say no. Don't be a dirty slut. And it just makes kids think, oh, man, that must be fantastic if everybody's against it.
If these nerds think it's bad, it's got to be good.
We should start an ad campaign for just don't feel good. The second you feel good is a sin. The Catholics always believe, like, what the fuck are you smiling about? Don't you understand original sin?
Walking around like a goofy bastard.
And I remember thinking, I really don't get the original sin. Like, you're born a bad person.
Yeah.
Because someone 2,000 years ago died. And you're like, I don't know if that was me. It's all very confusing for the children. The religion probably should come later in life, but nobody wants a kid to end up in limbo. So you got to get them in it early.
Right. So being not born, you're fine.
Well, not born, you're basically an angel.
Angel baby.
There's Rachel.
Rachel Feinstein. She's part of the Stand Up Season 2, which is available now on Netflix. And
So funny, by the way, that's Stand Up Season 2.
And for all of Rachel's dates, go to rachel-feinstein.com.
By the way, I got inside word of people that are being offered Season 3, but I've been picked my luck.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love to pick your brain on some of the details.
I'm not allowed to.
What?
No.
Not even to me?
No, what does tick a lock mean?
Hold on. Off air.
No. That's the whole thing. I was told in confidence. And they can be confident when you give me a secret. Because I'm not even telling Gail. All these glasses, they frog up. What do you give me a thumbs up for, Fonzie?
Rachel Feinstein is ready to come and see.
Oh, I thought you thought that everything was cool. Let's bring in Rachel. Rachel's here. We were just admiring her coat, but she's always looking good, Gail. Did you ever notice that?
I mean, she's a fox.
Is she?
She's a stone cold fox.
Would you say Fox on the Run, the way Sweet said back in the 1970s? And it hasn't been said since, and it should be. Congratulations for this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I always have so much fun on here, and I haven't come back in forever, and maybe out of like laziness or something. I don't know why I haven't been here every day.
You know why? Because the same way in your dating life, it makes people want you more. You are unattainable. But this is a good time to be you, right? When you just had a big Tonight Show thing. Was it a couple months ago?
That was a couple months ago, yeah.
And then you come back with this, and everything's just rolling along. You're touring.
Yes, I'm touring a lot. I just did, after Netflix now, I got to come up with more stuff. So I'm touring and trying to write a new special now.
Right, because you just dropped out a half an hour.
Yes, I just dropped a half hour. And then a year before that, I did an hour. So I'm trying to write really fast.
That's
so I'm not
crazy.
doing old stuff. Yeah.
Well, you just, for you, you just need your parents to keep talking.
Yes.
I feel vaguely guilty about some of it. The first draft of the special, it was like half my parents, and I was like, my notes were, I was like, you got to take this out. Karen and Howie can't make it through much more. I was like, just 15 minutes.
Do they ever ask you to take something out? Do they ever say, okay, that's too much?
No, actually, my mom will be like, when I don't talk about it, she goes, where was I? That's how she asks. She goes, where was I this evening? I'm always surprised. I think this is going to be the thing.
Right.
You know? And then I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that wasn't the final thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they like it. They just like being spoken about.
I think I would probably love it. You know what I mean? I just like any attention. I'm like Trump that way. It doesn't have to be good attention. Just bad attention. That's all nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Some guy named Dr. Dumpster Fire, but he wrote to me on Twitter something like, it was like, it started out nice. It was like, it was so professional. It was like, really loved your special. What a fantastic job, and really enjoy the voices. And then it was like, what kind of underwear are you wearing? Which I thought was so funny. It started out like the loveliest, most professional sentence. Yeah. Although, like, I mean, maybe he just wanted to know the brand, to be fair.
Right.
Maybe it was like, do you recommend any that fit well?
I do love that premise of, oh, even though I'm here by myself, I've dressed sexy for you.
Right.
Men must be just, we're insane at the end of the day.
I know. I was just talking about on the wrap up show about how like my worst fear is being on like where the camera on your computer sees you just laying there. Oh yeah. You know, because it would be so unsexy.
It's always the worst angle too.
Oh my God. I would just kill myself. Yeah. Just me laying there like a sloven. I know that's not a word, but that's what it's like. I would look like a sloven just feeding on some gross snack. Like that would just end my whole life.
Just the complete under chin.
It would be so not sexy. I'm just laying on my side, stuffing some heinous snack in my face. Yeah.
Well, also, also being on the road, there is even more of that, right? You just want to be more comfortable and allow yourself to eat worse.
It's such a sad, strange day. You go back to that little like corridor it's not a restaurant or even a closet. Like, what is that little thing next to the front desk at a hotel? And just get some macaroni and cheese. Oh yeah, no, and then it's like that weird cyclical thing. Like you go down there again, you walk around the hotel, like no contact. You're just getting more and more foul as the day goes on. Anyway, boys at home, I hope you're thinking about me right now. I know I'm thinking about you. Thanks for your service.
I think that we've gotten into this, I don't know whether it's like a Hampton Inn thing, but just that fake breakfast that everyone gorges on in the morning. If you ever
just like a bad continental breakfast.
Yeah. And there's just like
depressing.
These vats, and they're like scrambled eggs, like 80 pounds of scrambled eggs in there.
And it's surprising because it's like a good majority of the hotel hits it.
Everybody hits it.
Because I go down I'll grab the coffee.
Yeah.
In the morning, and I'll see like 30 people in their pajamas, just like eating cold eggs, and I'm like, no, guys,
deep sadness to
don't
it. Yeah, those orange eggs.
People do walk around in their pajamas now. It's very odd the way that happens. That never happened when I was younger.
I know it used to be you would dress up to fly, and now people just walk around, in their bedclothes. How dare you walk around in your bedclothes?
I know that people get upset about leggings as pants, but I honestly think, like, at this point, that's the least of our worries, because people literally wear like pajama pants.
Yes.
With, teddy bears or their favorite sports team logo on it.
Yeah.
And they'll be at the store, and you're like, well, that's not even close. That is.
It used to be
time.
like your grandmother would leave the house in something that was like a house coat.
Right. Or if you were seeing somebody in something like that, you knew that they were not just insane, like they were crackling with insanity if you saw them.
Right.
Yeah. That's the crackling insane person.
Yeah.
But you're just saying, like, your mom would drive you to school in curlers, and you thought that was so embarrassing if she would do that, but now that wouldn't even be like...
No, it would be nothing. It would be nothing. People want to be completely comfortable 100% of the time. No matter where they are, they want... And you look at like old Yankees games, and then you look at the men, and they had like starched collars watching the ball game.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, they were so uncomfortable.
Because even with curlers, that means like you're going to look nice later.
For someone else, yes.
But like if you're just wearing pajamas, that's just like, this is how I like to live my life.
Do you, when you're walking through life, are you constantly looking for material, or it just happens every once in a while?
I guess it just happens because, like, I don't have much discipline with writing. Like, I don't go and sit someplace and begin to write. It's usually just something happens to me. I tell a friend that story, and they're like, oh, you should talk about that on stage. So it's kind of like the gift or the heinous, dumb, missed moments in life, Yeah. So they are kind of like these. But yeah, I don't really look for it at all. But I need a deadline to actually make myself write. You need to have the special on the books, and then I panic and I hope that there's a fire. I do some fire fantasizing, and then I write.
That is hilarious. Just thinking maybe something happened to Fallon. Maybe he'll get injured, something. So when I do the Tonight Show, I'll have to be pushed back 3 weeks, and I'll be understanding. I'll say.
I was so nervous on the Tonight Show. I mean, when I went out for the Tonight Show, and they were their crowds are so warmed up. It's ridiculous when you get out there. You're like, why was I so fearful? But I was more nervous than for anything I've done. I just think because the history of it,
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't want to be like the girl that doesn't respect, and I don't want to bring down history. I'm like, I can shame myself and my family. I've done that for enough time, but not a historical thing. I don't want to shame historical things. Does that make sense?
No, it does, because this is the longest lasting thing that we've had.
Yeah.
The Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's only been, is it 5 hosts? I think it's 5 if you don't count Conan. And because he had a little shot on either side of Jay. So I guess he gets counted, but he'll never go back. You know what I mean? If they do the roundup of Tonight Show hosts, you're not going to see Conan there.
Yeah. I was here for a minute.
Yeah, I was here, and you guys treated me like shit. But it's rare that we have anything that lasts like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And there's this lovely history to it. And right before I went out, I spilled a Coke all over myself.
Did you?
Yeah, I asked my friend, my high school buddy came, and I was like, can you pick up one of those little airport sized liquors? Because I wanted to drink, but I was too embarrassed to ask. And they were like, we would have like just told you, the Roots have like a full bar in their room, but I just felt like it seemed unstable to ask for a drink, but I just wanted to take the edge off at that moment. And so I just wanted one drink. And so my friend, smuggled in the airport sized liquor that he didn't need to smuggle. And I put it in this Coke, and I drank a few sips, and then immediately spilled it on myself because I spill everything. And then they were like, what did you get on yourself? They're helping me in the hair and makeup room. And they were like, well, just tell us what it is and we'll be able to get it out. And I didn't want to say like vodka. And they were like, some schnauzes. Like, what? I'm like, what's this? And then but they cleaned me. Somehow they cleaned it off. They did magical things to me. They were frantically drying me. And then the booker for the Tonight Show, Michael Cox, he handed me like his notes to look at, before I went out. And it was like my set typed up with some comments about things we needed to remember. And then when I like remember to stop here or whatever, and then I go out and he's like, oh yeah, where are my notes? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, oh yeah, I need them while you're out. And I'm like, I don't know. I got in trouble right before. I lost his notes, the producer's notes.
But this is right before you do it, and you have chaos taking place.
Yes.
That would be enough to make me just be like, all right, I'm going to go. Like, I think like, I would just say like, I can't do it.
Sebastian Maniscalco told me that he went blank
Did he?
Yeah, he went blank, and Jimmy ran over and said, "Don't worry, this happens all the time," and let him restart it.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was his
Wow.
first Tonight Show.
First one.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my God, that's actually kind of helpful to hear that story from
Yeah,
him.
I know. I thought it was
so
great.
He's got such
Yeah.
a body of work,
Yeah.
and he's like so talented and impressive. Now I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, if he goes blank, then.
Yeah, but you know what I love too is that Jimmy was lying. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no one else has done that.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm like, does it happen? Yeah, that's so funny. You're right. He was absolutely wildly lying.
Yeah, but he's a sweet guy, so
Yeah.
he's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this takes place all the
He
time.
was really warm, and
Yeah.
he said the nicest things to the audience before. Like, who takes the time to do that? Like, he was just like, he just made them have pride in being good audience. He was like, she lives here in New York. Let's give her the most proud New York welcome. Let's make this the proudest night ever. This is so big for a comic's career to do
Yeah.
this. Make her feel like that. Like, show her what we can be as a crowd. So they have this kind of confidence in being a
Right.
good crowd. Almost like we're going to he gets them revved up to be the finest crowd that's ever existed. It's the best thing that could ever be done for a comic. And
Yeah.
it's
He
so
seems
cool
like
that he does that.
He really wants people to do well on the show. And I'm sure everybody feels that way, but maybe it's just that the way he kind of wears things on his sleeve.
Right.
You can see he really wants everybody to do well on the show.
Yeah, I don't think Letterman was that way. I don't think he was like, man, I hope this kid has the time of their life.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
But I was watching you even work that set for a while, like weeks, right? Before you got it.
I did. I kept playing with it. Yeah.
Does that tense in that time, or is it you just?
No, it's very hard because you want to be able to react to what's happening in the room and to adjust your set depending on different factors. And
Right.
you can't. You just have to run this set. So you feel like you just feel like harnessed, like you're unable to use your other muscles as a comic,
Right.
So I remember, well, the night before, Michael Cox came with me and watched me at the stand, and it killed. And I was like, do we need to go on again? Like, I think I kind of got this,
Yeah.
And then he was like, let's do it again. And then I bombed so bad.
Yeah.
It was like the worst I'd bombed in years. Like, I was regressing. It was like childhood bombing.
Yeah.
We went, and I had this arrogance after the first set, and I'm like, I kind of think the people know what they want, and it's me. And then he was like, let's do it once more. And then he brought me to Fat Black, and I think that night, I don't know what it was. I don't know the cocktail of factors, including myself, which was a big part of it. But I just went up, and they didn't laugh almost at all. Like, I haven't bombed like that since I started. It was like a profound, dramatic bomb. Like, my depth perception was affected. I was like sort of shaking out.
Well, sometimes down there's foreigners. You know what I mean? Like a lot of non-English speaking people or people who only understand some English.
You never know, because like the
Yeah.
cellar, usually in those cellar rooms are like my favorite rooms to play. But you just never know. You're right. Sometimes I think sometimes they don't speak English though, and that's what it is with the crowd. It's like they just don't understand you, so you feel less rejected. If
Now,
you
did it shake you, or did you feel like I got that out of my system?
No, it shook me. No,
Sure.
that was not a good bomb. That wasn't no. They do say a bomb the night before is good luck.
Yeah,
Everybody
that's what I was
says that.
thinking.
But I couldn't really channel that. It was humiliating. It was
Yeah, it would have been
deeply
bad on any night,
humiliating.
right?
Yeah. And not to mention he's there with me, and like, how can he not lose confidence in my set? No, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
It was an active disaster.
Well, what happens with like foreign audiences, even if they speak English, they don't necessarily understand all the wordplay
And the references,
or sarcasm or references. So they're just behind. I mean, can you imagine how difficult it is to get that kind of stuff in another language? But they don't yell that out. They should say, "We're not sure what you mean." A helpful heckle would be great there.
I know. Yes, that would be so a gentle. I'm very confused by that word. I don't know why I made my grandma say it, but yeah.
The kids that work at the coffee shop near me, they're all Polish. They always come in. They work for like 6 or 7 months, and then there's new Polish kids, and they're always saying that they get so confused that they think Americans just start reciting movies all the time. Like a lot of times we'll hear something, we'll just do a movie reference.
Right.
And they think he's having a breakdown and he just threatened my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, so
Yeah.
they don't, that's so fascinating. So it just sounds like
Just
they're-
because it's a cultural thing that they
Right.
don't. Yeah.
they don't do that. as
No,
much.
they don't do it, nor do they see those movies in English. So they just hear us funny funny how? Like a clown? And
Yeah.
they're like, what is happening? Am I in a fight?
I always am so impressed that people don't, this is not really directly related to what you said, but I'm so impressed that people don't like mess up in more wild ways in English, like more grand sweeping ways.
Yeah.
Because like every day I speak with people, just people with accents, English is clearly their second language. And they like will say one thing in like a funny way or whatever, but nothing like no wild misses.
Right.
I'm like, I would do that every day.
Yeah.
I would just go up and like accidentally ask to like see people's vaginas and stuff. And somebody had to be like, no, that's close to this other word. You can't ask people to see the vagina. But and that happened to my brother. He went to Costa Rica and he's in the Peace Corps with his wife, and his wife speaks Spanish fluently. And he was giving this big talk to like a massive group of people from the Peace Corps. And the point of the talk was supposed to be that you don't, because a lot of people couldn't afford college in the area and they went into other things, drugs and crime, other things happen. And he said, you don't have to go to college. There's all these other options for you if you choose not to go to college, like social worker and this, and there's some version of a social worker where you don't need a college education, like sort of like a camp counselor kind of thing. And he said, instead of that word counselor, he said prostitute. You can be a prostitute. You can be a hooker. And he said everybody was laughing, and he thought that he was being so charming that they just couldn't get enough of his charming speech, and he just got louder and louder and repeated again and again to this large group of young women that he was supposed to be there to coach and help. You can be a prostitute. You should be a prostitute. Go be a hooker. Do it. You can.
Yeah.
If it's in your heart, chase that dream. And his wife was just staring at him like, stop, abort, no, God. And he said he's never been so horrified in his life, you know. And I would do that. I would tell everybody every day to just start selling their bodies.
Well, particularly for them where it is an option. You know what I mean? It is something people
exactly,
do.
and it's something that he's there to actually help them stop doing it.
Yeah.
It is exactly what he's, but he was just like, go be a hooker right now. Don't waste but a minute.
Yeah. You could take drugs. You could cut yourself. Throw up after eating. Chris, your girlfriend is Costa Rican.
Yes, she is Costa Rican.
How did she get in this country? Do you know? Smuggled in?
I don't know if she was smuggled in. I believe her parents brought her here. Yeah.
But isn't it nice to know that you're dating someone that the Peace Corps actually has to go to help? You know what I mean? It's like saying you're dating a Somalian.
I didn't know the country was so troubled.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought it was like ecotourism.
Pick up a book. All of Central America's had a very difficult last 150 years.
But I thought things looked up like the last 15 or so.
Those people's dream is to get to Mexico one day. That's their one day we could live in Mexico. Plug away, Chris, but in Spanish.
Okay, Rachel Feinstein is in studio. The stand-up season 2 is available now on Netflix. For all of Rachel's dates, go to rachel-feinstein.com.
By the way, I think I prefer the half hours. I'm hoping that Netflix stays with that.
Yeah, I like the half hour.
Me
It's a
too.
lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to commit to anything.
Yeah.
Anything at all.
Right.
Yeah, much less stand up. Yeah. And I don't watch that much stand up. I like to watch murder when I'm not doing this. I think we might have talked about that last time. I like murder. But I can't go to sleep until I see like a Wives with Knives for some
Oh,
reason.
yeah, you like true murder.
I like Mindhunter, all that kind of stuff. I love like criminal profiling. But anyway, I agree. Yes, a half hour is enough.
Yeah, it's enough. What are you doing in a row? 45?
I do 45, and I've had it with myself. I'm pretty disgusted.
Yeah, right. You even know there's filler. All right, I'm going to fill for 5.
Yeah, I'm like, for the love of God, shut up. How many more sassy opinions do you need to strut around and dispense? It's disgusting. It's gross.
But a half hour is especially good if someone does not know a comic. If it's your
That's
first
true
time.
as well.
An hour is a long time to commit to someone, even if you know you like that comic, let alone you're like, I'm taking a chance on this person.
Yeah.
So I feel like a half hour is just a much more... It's like an episode of a show. You're like, yeah, I'll give that a shot.
Yeah, it's
and
like
I
a
think
little
it's a good
sitcom.
way to like.
And it brings in, because this is the stand up, so it's like a series of half hour specials that people kind of binge watch. So it brings in a whole new audience, which is like so great. So now people are tweeting me like, oh, I just found you on this thing. So they might not, people that would not otherwise search for you if you're not
Right.
a superstar. And I'm not.
Yeah. But you're very solid, buddy. You've got a very strong career. I know it always doesn't feel that way from the inside. But, you know,
I need your voice in my head. That exact little paragraph. It's like, that's what I need. My heart needed.
But remember when you started, if you thought all these things would be happening, you'd be...
It's so important to say that to yourself. It's so important, you know, because all I do is focus on what I haven't done. And like, it's so important to say that. Because I remember my name being on this bill like on a lineup. And I was like, I saved that piece of paper,
Right.
you know, and I was just like, oh my God, my name's on a lineup. Somebody bothered to have to print my name, you know? And now you're just like, oh God, why do they use that picture for this billboard in Vegas? It's such a gross shot of me. You know, I just don't even care. Yeah.
Was it a bold move for you to start stand up, or to even go up the first times? Was that difficult?
It was. I was really scared. I was a nanny, and at that time, and I remember nannying the kids all day and being like just so scared, just like heart pounding, like I couldn't eat. The kids were not being cared for at all. They were they weren't being fed, and they were in harm's way. I couldn't focus all day. And then I was trying again fire fantasy. Like I kept thinking, okay, there'll be a fire, which is really funny because now I'm engaged to a fireman and I have all these fire fantasies. It's really weird. But anyway, so I was just like hoping, praying for a fire. For some reason, that was the only thing that would get me out. Like not a bunch of other things, you know, like just only a fire is the only thing. And obviously just a text or a phone call of me saying I won't be able to make it would have stopped it for me. But I got there and it was like this bar I was supposed to play at. And, I went on and I told some stories and I had so much fun. Like I had the best experience on stage. But I didn't realize, but I was not only just doing terribly, but I went way over my time. They were waving me off stage. I was like being disrespectful. I was like a problem, major problem in the room, like an emergency bad problem. And I was like, I felt like higher and higher. I was like, this is going better and better. I was just like revving up. Like the people want more. And it's like, no, they want so much less. And they scolded me as soon as I got off stage. You know, they were like, did you see the light? And I didn't. I was on such a high that I didn't see anything. And the microphone wasn't even pointed in my mouth. It was kind of diagonally in front of my face, or just pointed north in this dumb direction in front of my face, completely obstructing my face. The audience didn't see me or hear me. They were just like, I was just rambling on without a care in the world. It was one of the dumbest moments of my life.
Unleash, though. Just unleash.
But I love in your head, you're like, I'm killing this.
I'm doing this. Matter of fact, I've never heard another person say they thought they did better than they did. You know what I mean? Because most it's either they know they did well or they know they died, but you did both at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I really thought it went. And now since then, I've had many sets where I'm like, I think I did worse than I did, or I'm like more overly analytical of myself. But the first time, I really believed. I was like, you're going to go straight from here to the pictures. Like I'll be landing right in the movies. And I really thought it worked like that, the business. I thought that a man was going to walk up to me and just kind of escort me out into my limousine. And then I would just go off to land right in Hollywood. He put me right in the picture shows. But no, it was a disaster. And I felt really bad because I was like burning bridges. Like this girl had like hooked me up and she brought me to this room and went on a limb and and she was mad at me too. Everybody was mad at me. The only thing that was good, or not good, but like made it less awful, is that I get scolded a lot. Like even as an adult, people never stop scolding me. I'm scolded throughout my day, so I am used to being scolded. I was scolded today. Like I have something about me that I have a scoldable face. People are always like, no, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, you're right. And they're usually right. I'm like, you're right. I apologize. You know? So at least I'm like used to that. Yeah.
Stop what you're doing.
They're always like, the wrong thing. No, you're not supposed to go that way. And I'm like, yes, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. And people scold me and clean me throughout my day because I usually have like a stain or a piece of debris on me. And I rely on the kindness of strangers that are just going to pick things off me. I don't even check myself now because I know I'll be clean by others.
Rachel, what you are describing now is a child. This is
absolutely right. Oh my God. I am a child. I'm a little tiny girl and you want to be bottled. But no, it's true. I am a child. I'm not a proper adult, not in any way. I can tell when like I was dating this guy and I went to his house into his kitchen and I asked the ladies if they needed any help in the kitchen, and they gave me the other people in the kitchen, they gave real jobs like put this in the oven or roast something, and me, they asked me to stir something that had already clearly been well stirred. I'm like, that's the job you give a 4-year-old when they're playing pretend, but they knew that I wouldn't be able to handle anything real. They're like, sure, you could stir this. Yes, you can.
And here's some paper and crayons, and this is going to be your thing to do. And now you're engaged with somebody who does an actual important job where you can have mistakes.
Yeah. He's captain now. He just made captain.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive.
He does real things.
My grandfather, his job, he was a fireman, and he used to drive the back of the hook and ladder.
Really?
And it was like to this day I don't even know because you've got to steer in the opposite direction.
Right.
It's
So
called
if
a
you're
tiller
turning-
man. Yeah.
So you're just like tilting
I
so the truck wouldn't tilt. You're like
Yeah.
basically doing the opposite, so the wheels is going like that.
Do you remember where he worked? That's so cool.
Oh, absolutely. I remember every detail of it. And every once in a while, I would just hear in front of my house a honk, and I would come out, and the big hook and ladder truck would be there, and all the kids would come running out, and he would pull me up and drive up, up around the block.
Oh.
And it was like the most, it was
telling
like
him right now.
having a superhero as your grandfather, It was
I'm telling him
thrilling.
right now.
Yeah.
Where you? Okay, that's so cool. Because I bet there's a good chance you knew him.
Well, no, this was many, many years ago.
No, but like maybe his uncle or grandfather.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
this was in Chester, Pennsylvania, and it was, there was actually, there was a lot of old places. We didn't have the same kind of, preparedness for anything.
Yeah.
Even buildings didn't have other things. So it was like pretty buzzy. A lot of the stuff that he was in, he would make the paper for and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And he used to always say to me, my brother, because we were on the third floor in our house, something happens, I want you to go out the window. I don't want you to go down the steps. And he used to scare the shit out of me. And he actually made my brother say, no, I'll throw him out the window. My big brother, he said to him, you throw him out because you got bushes down there and you're going to drop like 25 feet, but you're never going to make this down this fire trap that your dad has set up as a home.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I always love that. My grandmother told me that growing up having him as her father, she was saying to me that she would never ever sleep naked because he told her about so many stories of running into a building, trying to save a woman who was naked, who was like fighting him off, trying to like clothe herself before, and they would have to like drag women out, kicking and screaming, trying to grab a house coat or something to put on. But they're like, no, you're going to die if we're in this.
I didn't even know this, but mine is always on the edge of the bed. Mine is, I always put like a robe or my clothes at the edge of the bed every night. And I didn't even know this.
Yeah.
Like it's in my DNA somehow.
You must know, yeah.
Yeah.
He should have told me that. I always pretend that he has like a podcast called Behind the Fire. And I lay in bed and do it. I'm like, hey, I'm Captain Pete. I'm going to take you behind the fire.
I do like that. I feel like I've listened too.
But I act like he doesn't wear pants or underwear, but only a shirt. He's like, I'm going to give you some fire safety tips.
Yeah.
I know my balls and dick are out right now. We're not talking about that. I'm taking you behind the fire today. We're talking about fire safety and not why my penis is out. We're not addressing that at all.
Well, it's great. I know you got to get
Wait, am I
going.
allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I always get scared when I curse.
Yeah, you're always allowed to curse here.
Okay.
We actually prefer it. I know we got a heart out for you. We got to get you back on the road and promoting this thing.
Thank you.
But you're great, and it's always great to see you.
Congratulations.
Thank
it's so
you
super
guys.
funny.
Thank you so much for having me. I always have so much fun here.
Then I'm going to grab a washcloth, just kind of fix
Check
you
her
a little
hair.
bit. Chris?
Rachel Feinstein's been in studio. The stand-up season 2 is available now on Netflix, and for all of Rachel's dates, go to rachel-feinstein.com.
All right, buddy. See you next time.
That was great.
This song, by the way, Chris is the greatest producer in the world for Remembering Fox on the Run from a full half hour ago.
Yep.
Rachel didn't get it, but me and Gail.
Yeah, we did. It was like a Paul Schaefer moment, wasn't it?
It was. He's the Paul Schaefer of music. now.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. I always thought Paul would have more to do after he left Letterman.
He's so talented.
I guess. I mean, we always thought so, but apparently not. Don't you like that, Rachel?
I do like Rachel, and I'm so excited for her. Everything that's going on with her life right now is exciting.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know who I just waved to there.
It was Don Jameson.
Holy shit, we were just talking about him.
That's weird.
So, look, Charlie hasn't gotten over the Vikings losing in the championship game.
Well, he's a loser.
That's why he stopped being friends with me. I told him that he was a loser and his town was losers.
You don't think he took that personally, do
I
you?
don't think so. They got a new big quarterback, though. Paid him $90 million up front. That never happens.
Jeez.
I don't know if it's worth it.
It can't be worth it.
He's been playing his cousins. He's fucking playing with the shitty Redskins for the last 3 years. I don't know why everyone's so as a hard.
Well, because he had 4,000 yards a season with those shitty teams. With the Vikings, he'll get 9,000 yards.
He'd still lose.
That kid they finally put in the Sixers last night. The kid that they, what's his name? Vito?
Markelle Fultz.
Fultz, yeah. He was a young guy, had all the talent in the world. They say there's some shoulder problems, but it's more anxiety, they think. Or as we call it in sports, the yips.
The yips?
Yeah, you get a case of the yips. And that's just thinking something will go wrong and making it.
Oh, really? I've never heard that.
There was a second baseman with the Dodgers back in the 80s, I guess, who just, I think it was Sachs was his name, but I might be wrong. He just couldn't throw to first anymore. He just was a world-class athlete who something got into his head, and it was nothing physical, and he couldn't throw the ball 15, 20 feet. Would just end up in the dirt or in the stands.
Weird.
No, it's...
But what a specific thing, like... I don't know. That's the thing that you would think would be like almost muscle memory if you do it so much. Like to have that skill is like already insane. It's not like, anyone could do it.
Here's the thing about muscle memory. You can't think. You have to let the muscles do it. And he was thinking. What if I throw it in the stands? What if I throw it right up there in the stands? And that's where the ball was going. And it's really, you know how they were doing this gun control stuff and they're like mental illness too. We're going to fix mental illness. Do you know how many people who have, let's just say, anxiety problems, work hard at them, and it's still a struggle? And if you have people who don't want to work at them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's even hard. Solving mental problems, and I'm not talking about, schizophrenia or any giant thing like that. I'm just saying regular, I'm afraid of an elevator. I'm afraid of, of Chris sending the thing with the escalator. Somebody got eaten up. That's all some people need to see.
Yeah.
They see that and they can't get on an escalator again.
That'll be the end for them.
Now, do you ever even think when you're getting on an escalator, I could be chewed up here?
I only think because when I was a kid, I got my shoelace stuck in an escalator. Yeah. So every once in a while, I'll think about it. And when I was a kid, I used to think about it. But now as an adult, I don't. But I definitely don't think that the escalator is just going to suddenly have a giant hole in it and that's insane.
It's terrifying.
No fear.
Hey, Frank, what's up?
Buddy, how you doing? Steve Sack. It happened when he was a Yankee, not a Dodger.
But he was a Dodger first, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then he went to New York.
Happened with a Yankee.
And by the way, a lot of that stuff can happen just by going into New York, and there's so much sports newspapers and programming that, you know what I mean? Like, there's this, I don't know whether you saw 60 Minutes the other night, but this Greek kid, well, he didn't, he was raised in Greece, but he was like an African kid who went to Greece, and he's in Milwaukee, and he's like, no, I don't think I want to leave Milwaukee. I like being in a small town.
Right.
He loves it because he's not driving home hearing people saying they should be traded all the time. You know what I mean? Like that can drive you nuts. So he's like, Milwaukee's it's big to me, There's a convention center.
They're nice to me here.
He had one of the best dunks of this year. He jumped.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Is that the one that they played?
Yeah, he jumped over top of the guy. Yeah. Did you see 60 Minutes?
No, I didn't even know until
you would love this kid. I mean, his personality is so sweet. And now here's the other thing about him. Every time he goes to play in another town, after the game, he comes out and meets a crowd of Greek people who are there to meet him. So there's always about 300 or 400 Greek people that just love him. And I remember, there's times in Yankee Stadium that Yankee fans will be cheering for a Dominican.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dominicans cheer for Dominicans.
Manny Ramirez, especially. The people of Washington Heights in New York City loved him, and they didn't care who was on the Red Sox, but they lost their minds for Manny Ramirez.
They would actually change hats.
Yeah.
On days that he was playing.
With giant Dominican flags, giant sections of Dominicans just loving it.
Yeah, remember we went up to that game, Gail, and it was like we had some, fairly cheap seats. We were up high, and around the 7th or 8th inning, I'm like, you know what? This is getting a little rowdy here between these Dominicans and the rest of the Yankee fans. And there was this fucking Yankee fucking fan who was yelling monkeys at these guys.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, you know what? I had a very small family at the time. And I'm like, everyone got a hot dog. Everyone has enjoyed the game. What do you say we get on the train before it gets packed? Since I'm the only actual baseball fan here, and I don't give a fuck about the Yankees or the Red Sox. Hey, Jordan, what's up?
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
I actually have a friend that I grew up with who she dropped a koosh ball onto an escalator when she was really young.
Please.
And ended up losing 2 fingers.
Oh.
In retrieving it. And she will not ride an escalator. She does not ride any escalators anymore for the rest of her life.
Yeah, well, that, and she was nervous to buy, gloves.
Yeah. Or koosh balls.
Koosh balls fun to catch, though.
Oh, God, I loved them.
It makes you feel like you're really good. You could catch anything.
And I used to also love, when you could throw it and then you hold it by one of the strings. Instead of properly throwing it, hold it by one of the strings and then whip it. Love the koosh ball.
Yeah, koosh ball, great invention. Congratulations to
Mr.
And
Koosh.
dangerous,
Dr.
apparently.
Koosh. Oh, only on an escalator. I remember my mom used to get mad because I'd be a little kid and I would sit on the escalator like it was a little chair. I can remember being lifted up by my hair.
They don't like that.
Well, they know your ass could be stuck.
Shoelaces.
But
those are always a problem.
Yes, Gail's
So I just
shoelaces.
said that. You didn't hear me say that?
No, he didn't hear you or Rachel. You know why? You're women.
Oh my God. I literally just said my shoelaces got stuck on an escalator. You
know
didn't
what?
hear that? As a kid.
Here's another thing that I like about Rachel. Crooked smile.
Yeah, cute.
I love a crooked smile.
Very cute.
Eric, what's up?
Yeah, there's you guys were talking about the yips. There's actually a great 30 for 30 short. I think it's on demand about Mackie Sasser, the old catcher for the Mets back in the day, 80s. And he totally went sideways in his head and couldn't throw the ball to first base, couldn't throw it back to the pitcher. He'd sky it over their head or he'd roll it to them. And then it ruined his career, ruined his life pretty much. And then the whole intensive therapy of getting over something like that was pretty interesting.
Here's the deal. Everybody who has anxiety problems, we're always saying no one is looking at you and no one is talking about you. Yeah. And a professional athlete, everyone is looking at you, and then they're not only going to talk about it, but write about you.
Yeah.
It's got to be weird.
I think it's the same thing with celebrities or people on social media. I think that's where also the break comes from, is your whole life. Your family, your mom's like, don't worry, everyone likes you. You think that you feel this way, but whatever. And then social media exists and you're like, oh, people think that. People do think that.
Yeah. But people used to think it and keep it to themselves or say it to their wife.
Right.
You know what
exactly.
I mean? That was a civilized world. Like, everybody used to laugh at the Archie Bunker fucking show because Archie would yell back at his TV, and America laughed because we all were like, my grandfather's like that, my uncle's like that, whatever. But imagine Archie had a laptop and he just started immediately writing to the kids in the news this week. Chris's favorite band, the Eagles of Death Metal. That fucking...
He's a piece of shit.
Fucking slappy fucker was writing about how the kids are taking advantage. And I know for a fact that he got on stage with U2 in a fucking stadium show and got to sing, and he never would have gotten that fucking opportunity.
No, U2 was not interested. That was an interest of bringing attention to gun violence and what had happened.
Right.
And nobody thought that he did that and that was disrespectful to the people.
No, nobody said that. They just said, wow, the U2 show got bad very, very quickly. Because I was watching on TV that night when it was, and it was the big U2 special, which I wasn't crazy about. I'll tell you the truth. I don't like all the acting. I just fucking get out there and rock the tunes. All right? Let's leave the acting to the Broadway nerds. We're rock and rollers. But they literally let Eagles of Death Metal do the last song. And there was, a noticeable drop. They're not a stadium band. One time I gave Chris shit about them. Do you remember that, Chris? Early on when I was letting you.
Yes.
And he actually, I remember him saying to me, he's going, dude, it's shit goddamn. Acting like, how could I not love this song? I was just fucking with him. Well, I hope you're happy now, Chris.
I'm not happy. I didn't know that. I didn't know their political leanings. I wasn't aware of that.
Well, it does. Everybody's got a chance to be political leanings, I think, but attacking the children and
political leanings is one thing. There's plenty of people who, I dislike their politics, but this was an attack.
Do you see
on children who actually were survivors of a mass shooting?
Did you see the retired Supreme Court justice came out and said it's time that we did something about the Second Amendment? It would be it's antiquated, and it would be a lot better than if we sit around and just try to do these individual laws. Everyone's going, do you think this is the tipping point? And I'm still saying, nope, I don't believe.
So you think the 5 is still in the air right now?
Yeah, I say
the $5
I don't have the best. I don't think people. I think fear is a big driving force of that, even for people who don't own the automatic weapons.
Right.
Absolutely. But it's also because I watch Fox News and I see how adamant people are about not losing anything. Some people are even pissed off saying Trump doesn't have a right to do the bum stock thing. You know what I mean? Which I had never even heard of a bum stock until a couple of years ago. Now we got to get rid of something that's brand new. But I always think, I don't know. No one is angry about registering their cars and going back and having that renewed and all that kind of shit.
Yep.
I mean, I think a lot of people can't say what happened to their guns after they bought them. They bought them. They lent them to a cousin. Something.
Right.
He fucking sold it. Yeah. That dude fucking thought it would be funny if a kid went to school with it. I don't know. Somebody's got to follow that. But you know what I mean? Like, we register our cars. They have to be checked out, blah, blah, blah. Why is a gun any different?
Yeah.
We don't feel like, look, you're not free with your car at all. I mean, your car, really, there's so many things you got to do.
Yes.
All the time to keep one.
It's very regulated. And there are other things in this country, like, for example, the way that they talk about the immigration problem, and yet immigration is very controlled. People marrying people from other countries, the amount of time that it takes for you to get your citizenship, your green card, that's not just like, oh, you marry someone and you get your green card, let's say. Mm-hmm. This is like something that they follow up with you for years to come. My friends are a couple who, he's from Scotland and his husband is from here.
Wait,
and they go
you
back
said
and
he.
they're married.
That's a slippery slope, my friend.
No, they are.
What's next? We going to marry a blender?
I assure you they're very gay for each other.
You know what? I love beer. Should I marry my beer since I love it?
I mean, do you want to marry it?
These are hypotheticals when I'm drinking. When I'm drinking, I have a lot of hypotheticals.
That's something that's very regulated, and it takes many years to go through that process. There's certainly a lot of things in this country that we check up and make sure are legitimate.
Well, I wouldn't know about that because I don't go around marrying foreigners in the same way that I don't marry beers.
Sorry, I'm still not getting the marrying your beer connection, but...
Dan in Florida.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to know where the outrage is with all these Tide Pod eating shithead teenagers that can probably barely even wipe their asses,
what?
And they're going to get this country all outraged over freaking gun control when more of their friends are dying every day in cars, texting and driving, than from guns alone. So, where's the outrage?
Well, there is outrage. I mean, you see the billboards, and we have laws against texting and driving.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Well, they're not doing anything about it. These kids are still texting while they're driving.
Mm-hmm.
You go down the
but they would be breaking
day of the week.
What would you be saying is that they're breaking the law?
Yeah, they are breaking the law, but they don't give a shit about that because it's not emotionally charged like gun violence and like it's been politicized by, you know, their parents and by the left. So, you know, they're using these kids as props. It's all based on emotions. There's no real facts about it. You know, they're going after bump stocks and AR-15s when handguns kill more people every year than assault rifles. Let's
slow it down. So you think that we should ban handguns?
I don't think we should ban any guns. I don't think that guns are the problem. I think that there is a false outrage, and it's the most latest narrative over, you know, this Parkland shit, and you know, people are just emotionally charged over it. All these people that went and marched all over the country, that is not going to do shit. That was a big ass waste of time for everybody. Seriously. I mean, I look at the news and I'm shaking my head going, the fuck, man? They're wasting their time. All these people are wasting their time. It's like, it's a fucking joke, man.
All right, let me say this though. Do you get outraged when you see people at the beach? Is that wasting their time?
Well, what are they doing?
You're like, why are fucking millions of people at the beach?
They're not holding up signs at the fucking beach trying to pull a fucking agenda. Most people at the beach are chilling, fishing, getting sun, and enjoying themselves.
I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot fish at the beach in most of these public beaches. I don't know whether you know that or not, but most of the time
I live in a freaking tropical paradise and water surrounding me everywhere. I can go to any fucking beach and fish that I want on.
That's very different. That's very different than in the Northeast where they say no fishing directly into the ocean off a public beach. I mean, you're saying that because there's not a lot of people on Florida beaches.
I don't know. I've never even heard of not being able to fish in a
please look into it.
Ocean.
Look into it. If you're in Coney Island, well, there's people swimming and they don't want to hook in the water. They find it to be
I can understand.
dangerous.
I get it. I get it.
So there you go. And you know how that changed? People marched. And they said for years, fishermen said, we're going to fish in the ocean. It's our beach. We're going to fish in the ocean.
I hear you, man. I just, you know, I feel like this country is just, you know, at a point where it's broken, man, and it's going to take too much to try to fix it. The left is too left, the right is too right. You know, it's like,
do you feel like there's people further? Dan, you feel like there's people further to the right than you?
Further than the right to me? Absolutely, man. And I'm not even that far right. Ooh. You know, I'm pretty much, I'm really not. I'm not that far right. I feel like I was raised by a freaking lefty liberal and by my mom, and my dad was a conservative. So I feel like I have a lot of the views in the middle, you know. Was your
dad passive around her? Did he kind of, you know what I mean? Was she always in him, kind of belittling him, making him seem smaller and smaller?
No, the whole thing nowadays with politics and people being married and families and stuff is you can't even talk about it.
Right.
You seriously just can't even.
Well, every time, you know why? Because people will explode. They'll get very angry about it and they start name calling and stuff. You can't be sensible with each other.
Everybody's sensitive, man, and it's a real. I don't know, you know. And obviously, I sound heated and charged when you know. Talking about gun control and the march and all that shit. But, you know, I'm a pretty chill person, you know, pretty much in the middle. Yes, I did vote Republican simply because, you know, I'm sorry, I know. Anyway, I appreciate you taking this much time, Ron. I've been a long time listener.
Thanks, Dan.
Back to the 90s, Orlando and Tampa. I love you guys.
All right, love you too, buddy.
A while since I called.
Peace.
Appreciate the call. Thank you for taking my call. Later.
Of course. People are charged up. We're all fired up these days. Nick in Colorado. Nick.
I had to call in when I heard that last guy that just got off there. Oh, my goodness.
Man, he was a little fired up.
Well, he says everyone else is emotional about it, but everyone's emotional.
Okay. Now, when someone's like that, he's saying these kids don't have the right to speak up when they've had to watch their friends get killed and know it could happen to them. I think you should have to give, you know, that's a right too, for them to be able to say that. And they're about to be able to vote here really soon, some of them in this year or the next couple of years. It should matter what their opinion is. That's a right. But then, you know, he goes to say things like that. It's like they're just bitching about it. No, dude, when you say that, You're saying that because you can hide, because no one knows where you are. Say what your address is when you say something like that, because they don't need guns. They ought to come throw rocks at you.
Well, I don't,
like
I mean, I certainly disagree that someone needs to throw rocks at Dan. And I get that everybody has different opinions on this. I do hate to see the people attacking the people whose friends just died. That's the thing that, we are all emotionally charged, but the post-traumatic stress on those kids probably hasn't even showed up yet.
Yeah, it's on top of, it would be bad enough if it was your friend or your family member, someone in a different school, but they also were physically in those buildings. And so there is post-traumatic stress and trauma that comes with that.
Yeah, of course. And they might not even be feeling it yet. It's an interesting thing. But I will tell you this, because people are saying, the marches, let's say this. Did the marches against the Vietnam War change things? Did the civil rights marches change things? You would say yes.
I would say yes to that, yes.
But what people forget is years and years and years. It was the Vietnam War, they probably started protesting in 1965. It was 8 years later.
Yes.
Before that war had stopped.
And, I just want to say, because I know this is a very common thing that people say, people waste their time with protest. And I think that sometimes people are a little confused of the purpose of it, is nobody thinks that they're going to go out there with a sign and then the bill is going to be like written right there and everything's going to change. The point is it's like a showing of this matters to us. Right. It's a gathering of people and it's to keep a conversation going.
But if you would watch the news, you wouldn't know that. If you would watch MSNBC or CNN or even Fox, they think something has come up. People are going to change their minds immediately.
Right.
But I can tell you, it takes a long time to change minds, particularly older people who have lived with something a long time. Now, you turn around and look at gay marriage, there's still people battling, to get that pulled back. But what has changed is now some people who were anti-gay marriage are living with gay marriage and figuring out, hey, it hasn't changed my life. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Like that, it takes a long time, but once something is accepted, you also don't want to change back the way it was before that either. You know what I mean? People just kind of want our natural thing is for today to look like yesterday and the day before. And one of the most difficult things for people that are older is because they have experience. And when you find out that experience doesn't add up to anything, it's a scary feeling. You know what I mean? It's like, I've learned to do this. And now you're telling me it doesn't matter that I took all this time to learn to be this way. Andre, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Love the show. Listen to it all the time.
Thanks, buddy.
Driving here. Yeah, I'm out of Florida, and I see all these protests. I'm pretty close to the Parkland school and what have you. I know these kids are using this as a platform to voice their opinion, but there's two sides to every story. They want the guns to go away, but my only comment is this: they wouldn't be saying that if ISIS was kidnapping people and cutting their fucking heads off like they were 3-4 years ago and posting it all over the internet. Then they'd be begging for the guns. You know what I'm saying? These kids barely know how to wipe their ass. I mean, and they're holding a public platform.
I will tell you this, Andre.
Trying to convince the public that it's good to just trash the guns. Let's get rid of all the guns.
But here's what I want you to understand. Let's say it was the civil rights thing, right? And we want blacks, blah, blah, blah. And then every once in a while, a black kid would commit a violent crime or rape somebody, and then you would go, see, this is why we don't have civil, you know what I mean? Like, that would be the thing to take it back the other way. So, but change.
Of that, the implications of that versus having no gun, there's no comparison there.
But there is. I'm literally giving you the comparison of that. That's the knee-jerk thing. Everybody needs to chill out a little bit.
Well, they're breathing. It's a supercharged atmosphere right now, but I just don't think that this platform is where they need to grieve at. I mean, okay, we get it. You know, it was, you know, the truth be told, the kid was a product of their school. I mean, he went to that school. That psycho came back to seek retribution on things that happened to him at the school.
That's just not necessarily true. It isn't true that he was even doing it.
Everybody knows that. He has some.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that there was retribution against those other kids, or he would have been looking for specific kids. You know what I mean?
But you don't know if he did or didn't.
Well, we know the kind of. I agree with you 100%. That's why I wouldn't even bring it into the mix and blame that community or those kids. But there's no doubt for me that any change that has ever taken place in the history of the world has been driven by young people. Every single time. Because there's no reason that older people want change. There should be none. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of older white guys going, hey, it's time to do away with the patriarchy. No, because they grew up in it, and they live with it, and they benefit off it.
Sorry, also, is there some confusion about how long it takes to learn to wipe your ass? This is the second one in a row.
Well, it's a way to just say that they're just kids and we wouldn't listen to them about anything else. But they were kids that were in that school, and I get it. I get that they're like, fuck this shit. I get it. But it doesn't mean that they're 100% right, or everything that they say should be measured as if they were anything other than kids. But they're giving their experience, and their experience is fucking frightening, and it's unique to them. Here's our buddy, Captain Stacy.
Hey, folks.
Hey, buddy.
$1 billion today.
You too, my friend.
No, but okay, for instance, you and I, we're close to the same age. I have over 80 guns in 3 different gun safes. Every one I've got, I bought at 50% of the market value. Bought them as an investment. I don't want to lose them. But you and I together at the same time have seen smoking change. From smoking in a restaurant, smoking in a bar, and that doesn't happen.
I'm telling you, I remember when people said they will riot if you can't smoke on an airplane. They will riot if it was only 12 years ago that you could still smoke in a club, in a bar in New York City.
Yeah.
And everybody said, fuck this. But change does take place, but it isn't fast. You know what I mean?
But the one thing that I think a lot of people are missing, though, and I'll bet a year's salary on this one, virtually every one of these children, and if they are children involved in these shootings, okay, you can call them whatever you want to, they're still children, have been on mind-altering drugs for behavior problems. I mean, look at any commercial nowadays and tell you all the side effects of a drug.
And what do we do anything to slow the fucking drug thing down? No. Matter of fact, just the opposite.
Because you don't want to deal with them.
Right. But also the adults are on some kind of opiate themselves. They're sitting around going, there's these drug dealers, there isn't anybody that has a bootleg pill factory. There just isn't.
I audit ships for a living. I mean, you know what I do.
Yeah.
And one of the questions is, what medication is the captain of this ship on? And you wouldn't believe how many are on adult ADD Ritalin and stuff.
Yeah. It's constant. All of us could go to get drugs right now if we go down to the doctor. Yeah. There's not one of us that wouldn't know what to say to leave with a fucking prescription.
Downs 100%. And uppers.
Yeah, whatever you need.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Captain Stacy. But a lot of this stuff, like our mental health stuff that we're saying this could help us, it is about putting more children on more drugs. That's mental health, folks. Let's go over to Jim in New York.
Hey, how are you today?
Good, man.
Hey, listen, I'm sitting here in my car driving in a long road, and I'm listening to these people talk, and that gentleman referred to the Parkland incident as this Parkland shit, and that's why people are getting an uprising. This is the problem with our country today. We have such strong feelings on both sides that people seem to forget it's human life that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't deny anyone the right to own a gun and protect themselves, but can you tell me why we need military assault weapons? if we get up gentlemen first as ICE is coming down, and we'd be happy we have a gun in our hands, you know, what, everyone's supposed to walk around being prepared for a war against ISIS or against terrorists? That's absolutely absurd.
Well, what they want those those guns for, is because they think one day they might have to use it against the government. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that part.
And to me, that's almost mental illness.
Oh, yeah.
I put that down as, what is this fucking scary dream that you have that you think our army is going to attack us? And is that the fucking, if that's the problem, we need to slow everything down right now, because that's insane to me. That's insane talk. Let's go here to John in Texas. Hey, John.
Hey, I just wanted to make a quick point. You know, like Mark Twain has a great quote, like there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. And they often, you know, make the point that, well, of the first world nations, the U.S. is so violent, so extra violent in comparison to a lot of other first world countries. And when they actually make those comparisons, you're talking about, you know, even France could fit inside the state of Texas. Norway, as a first world country, wonderful, but their population just isn't comparable with what the U.S. has in its total scale. And so when you really look at things, these sorts of violent acts still occur in first world countries, but we just don't see them usually on the same number per year and on the same scale because of that reason. You could take.
Do you think the country's too big? There's too many people?
I mean, I don't have an issue with any of that. I just think that it ought to be kept in mind too that, you know, you could take England, Scotland, and Ireland and put that in the, you know, in the north.
But let's look at your state. Texas, right, is a big state. They have money. I always had the feeling Texas could make it on their own. You know, they tried it. You know.
But the thing is that I don't know. I mean, I don't have an opinion either way. I just think that it ought to be kept in mind that sometimes it does seem a little exaggerated how violent the U.S. is. However, there is something to the idea that we are a bit of a culture of violence here. So, I see both perspectives. But frankly, no matter what anybody says, I think it's great when somebody is willing and wanting to express their voice, and I mean that's what a democracy is all about, and I think it's fantastic. Whether I agree or not, there's always going to be a difference of opinion.
I agree with you, John. I agree with you. I think
all the time.
I want to go to Kaylin, is a clinical therapist who wants to talk about trauma from shootings.
Hello.
Hi, Kaylin. How are you doing?
Good. How are you all?
Good.
Good. So I just wanted to speak from my experience. I'm a trauma therapist, and I work with kids, adults, families. I actually work in the field of family preservation. So these children have actually been removed from their homes, which is inherently a traumatic experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So trauma is all about association and triggers, right?
Yes.
So a lot of these people that are speaking on this issue don't understand how trauma works, right? They're not educated on the process of trauma. And what you all are talking about, how trauma isn't manifested, we call that acute stress disorder. So, like, it's the immediate response after an adverse event has occurred in a person's life, or a very stressful event, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's within the first month of that, we call that acute stress disorder, because you're right, it hasn't fully manifested or processed to surface as PTSD. However, typically with kids that we see like this, we see these symptoms continue, and after a month of continuous symptoms manifesting, we then diagnose with PTSD. So what people don't understand is these children have been exposed to a very traumatic event. So trauma always has to do with some sort of trigger, some sort of association, some sort of conditioned stimulus, right? So a person goes through a traumatic event, and then from that, there's something that becomes a trigger for them that then brings up flashbacks, anxiety, all of the, nightmares, hypervigilance, increased startle response, right? So all these symptoms manifest from some sort of trigger. What do you think the trigger is going to be with these kids that have gone through this event?
An actual trigger.
Right, a gun, right? Yeah, so I just wanted to speak on that, just how trauma works. There's now this associated trigger that anytime these kids see a gun now, what do you think is going to happen? All of these memories are going to come back, to manifest and surface. This anxiety, this hypervigilance, the startle response, these terrible, terrifying occurrences are going to flood back into their mind and their brain, and it's going to manifest physically, emotionally, spiritually, however, mentally, right? Because now there's this associated condition response of a gun. Now every time they see a gun, it's going to trigger all of these symptoms.
Good luck going to a movie then, right? Good luck playing a video game.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We're very interesting about we do focus quite a bit on violence. We have a lot of violent fantasies in our culture. Hey, Kyle in New Jersey.
Hello, Bennington.
Hey, man.
Hey, I was just thinking, you know what? I agree that everyone has the right to their opinion, but to call these kids out as saying that they don't, not that you're doing this, but some of your callers are, that they don't have a dog in the fight. The people who want to own guns like this are usually coming from a place of cowardice or paranoia anyway. They're afraid of their neighbors. They don't feel like they could take care of themselves without massive armaments. These are kids who have been exposed in the face of violence and are still fighting for a gun-free world. What kind of special kind of bravery is that?
It's an interesting
that's a good point
that you're making, because you would think that most of them would go, there's guns out there, we should be armed to the teeth to protect themselves. But it's but I would love to see us all talking more and accusing less. But once again, my experiences as an older person, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. For the first time ever, I saw that the gun debate couldn't be stopped this time. That it wasn't, you couldn't win with it too soon, or you're taking advantage of it. The kind of shit that this singer, I don't know his name.
Jesse something.
Jesse, yes. And that he tried and then had to go back and delete his Instagram, which, by the way, I would always love to know why somebody deleted that. Like, I would be, instead of yelling at him and, calling him an opportunist on those kids, I'd like, okay, did you change your mind, or were you forced to take that down based on, I don't know, people canceling whatever fucking nightclub he was going to play next? I'm always curious about that.
Yeah. It seems like it was a knee-jerk reaction to how much negative attention he got.
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to know, though. But we never, we shout people down now rather than listen to them. Hey, Sheldon, what's up?
Hey, I have two comments. First of all, blaming mental health medication for things like this is kind of like blaming the firefighters, because they're always there when we see a house fire. Of course you're going to have people on medication doing this sort of thing, because that means that someone's trying to treat them for the very thing that triggered this in the first place. But the second thing I wanted to say was...
hold on, let me change it, though, because we know that firemen work 99% of the time, but a lot of those drugs can make things worse. And I get that we don't have a perfect drug.
I don't see that evidence. I'm a psych professor. I worked in this for 25 years, and I don't buy that layman's argument that this just makes things worse.
All I have to do is turn on a fucking TV and see that sometimes acne medicine makes a kid kill themselves. That you get suicidal thoughts.
Different medication.
But it doesn't matter what. It's still a drug, and people get weirder on that.
Kill someone.
What's
Tell
that?
me an acne medication that makes somebody die.
Accutane. Accutane was a drug that causes suicidal tendencies, and it was an acne medication.
Okay, and then what did they do about that?
Well, they
I'm pretty sure it's still a drug, actually. I know Chantix was another one where severe depression, and there was severe depression and a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit, because of the amount of people who their depression worsened and even caused suicide or attempted suicide, and that was to quit smoking. So it definitely does happen that way.
What do we do when someone has a psychosis then? Should we not try to prescribe medication that helps them?
Well, it would honestly depend. If you have a kid who's going through the kind of a normal growing pains, you can't tell me that we need the highest percentage of kids that we have on these ADD drugs right now, Sheldon. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that we're not overly subscribing these drugs.
No, I would never say that. Of course we overprescribe medication. Right. But the point that you seem to be making is that's what's causing this.
First of all, no, that's just the opposite. And it's interesting for somebody who tells me that you've worked in this to get that wrong. A caller called in and gave his opinion, and I've always been of the opinion that we hand people drugs and then we're not there with them to see how these drugs work. You know what I mean?
Well, there we agree.
Yeah.
Because what I'm calling for is for us to deal with the gun culture, not just the guns. If you took away the 300 million guns that are in America, magically, we would solve that problem. We could begin to work on the bigger issue, which is everyone wants more violence in their movies, their video games, etc., but then they pretend we don't live in a gun culture. That's the real issue. We're not going to magically get rid of 300 million guns overnight because we pass a law. We've got to get down to brass tacks, which is, why are we so obsessed with violence?
Well, why don't you tell me? Why are we? Why are our movies?
I wish I knew, but the same kids that get up there in front of a podium and say, ban the guns, then go home and play these very violent video games, and I think, why are we not dealing with the bigger issue here?
I honestly think...
as I do, I love Trump somehow.
No one said that to you. For a person who does what you do, I'm shocked that you make the next leap. I honestly think that if you look at those video games and if you look at the movies, there's no doubt or even our sports. But I don't know whether that's blowing off steam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously most
people... has been disproved. That was a Freudian concept. It's not true. We don't blow off steam when we engage in violence. Even pretend violence.
I know, personally, I used to be very against the idea of blaming violent movies and violent video games. And then with the current situation and the amount of mass shootings we have, I am more open to talking about that as part of a problem as opposed to...
Well, because we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
I mean, here's Sheldon has worked in that industry.
I don't think it causes it. I think it's endemic. It's a sign that we're very into this violence and we want it more realistic. I mean, I would never have dreamed 25 years ago that kids would be playing video games where you get points for raping women and killing cops, but here we are. And it gets more and more realistic, and I think, what is wrong
What video game rapes women? I don't even know this.
GTA, probably.
Do they rape?
Somebody younger than I am.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
I don't think you get points for it, but yeah.
All right, so
I think you get points for it, but yeah.
I've never played the game before, so it's a very popular game, right? Yeah. Vito, have you played
Grand Theft Auto? Yeah.
So do you rape women in that game?
No, you don't.
You can.
You can rape women, but you don't get points for raping women. It's just something you can do on the side if you please.
I had no idea.
Even worse.
Yeah.
But it's not like a mission. There's no mission.
Could you rape a man?
But that's it's a thing that happens in the game.
Vito, could you rape a man in that game?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't
you
think
cannot. You can't.
That's really odd.
I don't think so.
You could kill.
Who do you think's making those games then?
Women, I would imagine. Am I wrong with that? Young women. All right, Sheldon, I got to move on, but I appreciate your call, buddy.
Thanks for the call.
All right, peace. And everybody's fired up in this country.
Very.
Fired up ain't taking no more. Hey, Jason. Let's go to Jason. You're up, buddy.
Hey, how's it going, guys? You guys thanks for having the discussion, first of all.
I didn't mean
just want to preface.
I'm going to honestly say I had no, I didn't want to have this discussion at all. I don't know if it does any good.
Well, I just wanted to preface my opinion with that I grew up in the rural areas around Rochester, New York, and I've used guns my whole life. And So I'm kind of blown away that we're all about gun control when I see it as like a problem in our education system and how we teach kids, and the universal truth that little boys learn better with hands-on activity and when they can blow off steam, and girls learn better in more traditional classroom settings. And to me, the education system is so archaic in the way we teach our kids. We don't teach them lifestyle skills. We don't teach them perspective. We don't teach them finances. We teach them strict facts and make them sit in this classroom every day and just try to absorb information. And I think the real problem stems from the way kids view each other, because they're kids, they don't know perspective that well. Parenting, the food they eat, taking away recess, taking away art.
You're talking about a complete reboot to American society, including parenting, right?
Yes, because America was built on easy fixes and making everything
But
easier.
Jason, let's be honest here. If we tried to do that reboot, you'd see more people using their guns. If we started to say, you guys are bad parents, the way you're raising your kids is bad, you'd see a lot of people waving guns around, because that is like one place where you will see families like pull together.
Yeah.
They don't want to be told how to raise their kids.
And to kind of, it's kind of a small aspect of what he just said, but that idea of enclosed activity, which is or lack of activity, the way school is, and really how the workplace is as well. Certainly, office environment is very similar to that. I know that in other countries, they're Sweden and things. They have more focus on like teaching children how to be outdoors, like outdoor kindergarten. And I know that that's a thing, and I'm sure that that's very, it has a huge positive impact. But then at this juncture, I don't know if just that, like, let's just say we moved into that kind of society and we started just totally changing our value systems of the way we taught children. I'm not sure if that would be enough to make the change that we're not going to see mass shootings. Maybe I could be wrong, but it seems like one aspect of a big wheel.
Look, I'm writing everything on the chalkboard.
All right. Put forest kindergartens on there.
I wouldn't mind having the kids outside. I know I like being outside, like monkey bars.
It's like your whole school is on monkey bars. Like, it's really great. They love it.
I remember sitting in class going, why is this old lady talking when I know there's monkey bars right on the other side of that door? A fucking monkey bar to me? That was everything. But yeah, I don't think anyone is wrong to put anything on the table. Here's our old buddy Coke Logic. Hey, Coke.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say there is no rape in Grand Theft Auto.
Vito?
You can have sex with a prostitute, but that's it. There's no rape in any games on the market. There's enough social justice warriors out there that would completely take a game off the market.
Is it with an underage prostitute?
No.
So it's a prostitute of age. Now, Vito.
Yes.
Were you trying rough sex?
No, there is 100% rape in Grand Theft Auto. I just looked at a video of Grand Theft Auto rape online.
That was in your history.
What? No.
Look it up. There's Grand Theft Auto rape. There is rape in Grand Theft Auto.
Vito, Chris, I need you to look it up on the other side, and we'll settle that. We'll do People's Court right now. And I'm doing old school Wapner.
Probably,
People's Court, right?
I don't know.
Chris,
I also want to say, go ahead.
I'm just, there's nothing written about this, Chris?
I searched Grand Theft Auto rape, and something came up on YouTube. Grand Theft Auto 5, a rape scene.
Now, why don't you just look up? There's got to be articles written rather than we sit here and watch a rape like that. And by the way, I don't know if you video raped, if that would lead to actual rape.
Look,
anyway.
I know for a fact that there are certain aspects that, like, rape exists within that world. Rape exists within, let's say, Red Dead Redemption. I'm not so certain if, like, in gameplay, but it certainly exist as part of the storyline.
I took this vacation with a couple of friends to a place called Westworld. And it was, it was just basically robot stuff. You'd be shocked how quick the robot rape started, though.
Really?
I mean, first episode, there was a robot rape.
Was this a show you're watching or a place you went?
I'm pretty sure I went there.
Okay.
But it was back in my partying days, so I'm not exactly.
Okay.
I can't be 100%. All right, so Vito, you believe that there is rape. Chris has found articles, and you said a YouTube that shows that there's rape.
Yeah.
And Coke Logic says absolutely not. All right, buddy.
Maybe in the backstory, maybe a character's past.
No, this says gamers are virtually raping avatars.
That's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard in my life.
Why not just get consent?
All right, peace. Brad in Florida.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
One of the issues is that you can't have an open and honest debate when both sides don't really know what they're talking about. You had a caller say that civilians shouldn't have military-grade weapons, and I agree, and we don't. The AR-15 isn't a military-grade weapon. It looks mean. That's why people have a problem with it. And then you have, during the march, people were talking about we shouldn't have fully automatic weapons. That's good because they're outlawed also. But the sides can't.
Well, what was the weapon that the kid went in?
AR-15.
That was an AR-15, Brad. Do you have any problem with taking that gun off the market and just seeing what happens?
Yes, because all that gun does is shoot what's called a 223 caliber bullet.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gun that's called a Mini 14 with a wooden stock that shoots the same kind of bullet.
So if you took both of them off, would you be okay with that?
But then if you take both of them off, then they're going to say, well, now we have to take handguns because. But
no, let's just Brad. Let's just stop at that point. Would that be okay with you? And you'd have a guarantee that they wouldn't take handguns.
No, because what they're saying is because of large capacity magazines. Handguns are used twice as many times in mass shootings than rifles are. So knives kill more people in America than the rifle does.
Yeah, but knives wouldn't have killed more people in that building that day. If that kid was running down the hall with a knife.
Hold on. In China, 30 people were killed and 130 were injured with 5 guys with knives. And what stopped that was five cops showing up with guns.
Well, cops should have guns.
Yeah, no one's taking away cops' guns.
Assault rifle. AR stands for Armalite Rifle, the company that made them. It was the anti-gun lobby who coined the phrase assault rifle.
So you know more about guns than I do. Is the AR-15 a hunting rifle?
You can hunt with it, but you can't hunt large game with it because it's not a powerful bullet. It's basically a 22 bullet with a lot of powder.
So what do you hunt with it, like a squirrel?
Well, there are places where like gophers, squirrels, prairie dogs.
But what is the purpose of the gun, Brad?
The purpose of the gun is for home protection, for sporting events, there's a competition called 3-gun competition,
right,
where you have a shotgun rifle and a handgun.
But if it came down to it, we could get rid of the fun competition stuff because I think it should be. I mean, if anybody is a hobby, no matter what it is, who gives a fuck?
If knitting was killing kids, I think we'd all go.
So I think at a certain point,
that's my point. It's not a guns thing; it's a morals thing. You're not going to get rid of 330 million guns in America. That's not going to happen. That once you start talking like that, it shuts down the pro-gun people. And then when the anti-gun people start saying, well, we have to get rid of, during the last assault weapons ban, you could still get an AR-15. It just looked different. So the ban really did nothing.
Yeah, I think that you would have to keep moving all the time, just like when you're, battling against drugs, that you're like, now it's not meth, it's Molly. You just have to keep moving.
But while we say that we need to get a better understanding of what the actual conversation is, so, people who are feeling this way about gun control are, trying to ban guns that are unnecessary, not understanding them. On the other side, right now, the conversation was about gun control. And I don't think that the conversation right now is about 0 guns in America. Yeah, right now it is about gun control, about the problem of guns.
Even before, let's suppose you did stop buying new guns, you would still have 330 million guns. I mean, we're just chock full of guns.
Yeah, we got a lot of guns.
What if we started to trade them for kicks? Now, kicks is something that the kids refer to as their sneaker or recreational shoe. I would call them tennies because I grew up playing 14 hours of tennis a day. Waste of time? Maybe. But I made it to number 9 in the junior teens, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So, you take that gun out of their hand and you put a racket in. You get them in some tight white shorts. You get them there. And here's how we play mixed doubles. Slow the game down? Yeah, but guess what? I ended up meeting some really fun gals out there. One of them was from Sweden. And guess what? She didn't mind a DP or double penetration.
See, this is way better than guns. I mean, this is a hobby I think we can all get behind.
Yeah, I think so. Dentist, not dentist. Do you see that dentist is so nervous that they're putting out a book about lions? And he's like, I just got shit to calm down. They found out that they got the lion to leave the preserve by having an elephant corpse there. So you had to kill an elephant too.
Yeah, and then just drag it and sneak it out.
Why is my name up on the iBang there?
That's it. You made Jeffrey Gurney's column this week.
Talked to him for 2 seconds. There's no possible
Every
way.
time I look over at that, I keep thinking it says Gail Bennington, but it was like written as go back,
Gad.
Chris. It's written as Gad. Chris, why won't he go back? Whatever. He doesn't listen to me. It's fine.
I was reading.
All right.
Sorry.
We've got a guest coming up. Mark Norman's going to be here, and we haven't broke once, right?
You're not broke yet today.
All right. Right back, Bennington.
Bennington, Raw Dog Comedy, Sirius XM 99.
I love these rejoiners. I never get tired of them.
It's like new every time you hear it.
Mm-hmm. Love the production. Love the promos that have been running too. They're kick-ass. Hey, it's the Bennington Show. Tuesday. But we just got caught up in the gun debate stuff. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, people are so passionate on every which side, and they're really ready to talk about it. You know what I mean?
I always say this.
That was an instant.
Everybody's passionate except for Chris and Vito.
That is true. Do you
Chris,
have opinions?
Zero opinions?
Guns are bad,
Okay.
but I'm not sure I'm going to fix it. I haven't gone out marching. I feel like I'm a little old for that.
You're not too
No.
old.
Okay.
It's really to care for children.
Vito, how about you?
I mean, I think that there should be like registration in classes. Like if you have to go take driver's ed and learn how to
You just
drive.
talking about that earlier today, right? So
But-
you just
No, that's something I.
all your opinions came from today.
No, that's just how I feel. About
Chris, where am I going to be Saturday night? You never bring it up.
You're going to be at Fairfield Comedy Club in Connecticut. That's this Saturday, March 31st. There's 2 shows, one at 7 p.m., one at 9 p.m. Go to fairfieldcomedyclub.com for tickets.
And I have been assured by the governor of Connecticut that it will be a fair field. Or else I'll put my bats in my bag and go straight home. You want it home, but you can't have it. What? I was listening to that coming in today. I'm like, I bet Gail picks this for the opening song because it's popular again.
I actually let Chris pick the opening song because I was running late.
You know where he went?
Where did he go?
Space Hog. His favorite fucking band.
Love Space Hog.
You joke, but every time you pick, it's Space Hog.
Is it really?
Yes, 100% of the time.
I have a Space Hog thing.
And I'm sitting there.
That was just the hit, right?
Yeah, that's all he knows, and that's all I know. And the hit is good.
It is good. It's very good. I'm sad I missed it.
And I'm like, tell me again who this is. And he's like, Space Hog. I'm like, why weren't they Oasis? That was the plan. You want it all.
I think Space Hog, the name, held him back.
Disagree. You could have the worst names. You could be called the Beatles or the Rolling Stones and still have hits. Those are terrible names.
Particularly like the Beatles being just like a pun, like a misspelling.
That no one picks up on to this day.
Yeah.
You know, because we've got the beat and we're Beatles.
Like a beat Nick, but a Beatle.
We were just down the hall and saw the entire, well, just about the entire Roseanne cast is down there. They're doing a town hall.
Deej, looking so grown.
Deej is all grown up and he's a good looking kid.
Yep.
Both Beckys.
Both Beckys were there, which was great.
Roseanne looks fantastic.
She does. She does look great.
Dan, fantastic. But I'll tell you, I can't believe this. They do breaks in the middle of their town halls.
I know, that's really strange. Sandra is doing the town hall, of course.
She's fabulous.
And she's so great. But yeah, it is weird to make them break in the middle of a good conversation.
Yeah, I think they don't know that you don't have to, that you could plug that break in later. You want it all? Well, what about, we're going to commercial free for the next hour. Hey, tomorrow night on, I think it's Wednesday night, $250,000 for you Quiznos.
I know. I played last night and I did not win the Nike sneakers.
Yeah, they did a second surprise game.
Yes.
$50,000 in rare Nike sneakers. See, these things are being promoted now. Nike did last night.
Yeah.
Tonight is or tomorrow night is Ready Player Go. Vito's
Ready Player One.
Not Ready Player Go. That's Ready Steady Go. It's a whole different thing. But and that was Vito's favorite movie of the year. But Vito's favorite movie last year is on demand and Blu-ray today. That is Star Wars. It's called Star Wars This Time, or even more Star Warrior. So this is the only big movie from last year that I kind of would say that I haven't. I couldn't force myself to Thornak, and I couldn't force myself to Justice League it, even though they sit there every night.
Well, I think that if you are going to see it, then that is the setting to see it, is in the home.
Oh, you saw it and didn't enjoy?
I did not enjoy it.
I watched the trailer this morning, and I said this looks awesome. And I haven't let anybody spoil. I haven't had anyone come up and spoil it for me.
That's good.
But I do think, here's what I think. The Force is good, but there's a dark side of the Force. Okay?
And just know that they might meet some cute creatures along the way.
I hope so. I hope there's a guinea pig that's friendly.
You're in luck.
Vito, where do you put this Star Wars? It's The Last Jedi.
I saw it the night it came out, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't.
You put it dead last?
I don't put it dead last.
Why would you take a movie that you hate and say it's your number one movie of the year then? What kind of reviewer are you?
I never said it was my number one movie of the year.
You were bragging all around this place.
No,
saying number one movie is also
Do they
mine.
wear Star Wars? They have Star Wars shirts in your size.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen those fans? They're pretty large.
I don't know. I don't go. I've never been to a Comic-Con. Now, what did you hate about this without doing a spoiler? Because I might watch it tonight.
It's this new trilogy is all different writers and directors, so it doesn't really follow any path.
There is no path. George Lucas is gone. Okay, those days are over. You
They killed
fuckers
him.
drove him out of the business. All right,
Yeah.
with your constant bitching. So you're going to get another million Star Wars thing, but the tonality is gone. Tonality only comes from having one guy do something. You know, it's like if you have a favorite restaurant and they open up a place on the other side of town, you can go there. Same fucking food, same recipes, they won't taste the same.
Yeah.
This is a known fact.
Now, you said you hated it, but you wouldn't put it dead last. Does that mean that you put the Jar Jar Binks episode 1 before or after it?
The the prequel. This is better than the prequels. It's more fun than the prequels, but this is a kids movie. This is a straight up children's movie. It's all kid humor.
All the Star Wars straight up children's
This
movies?
more than ever.
100%. There's not been a Star Wars movie that's not for kids.
I would point this out.
There's no dick in any of the Star Wars.
I think that they would like Jar Jar Binks better if he just went by Jar Binks. I think it's the immature name.
Listen, I'm gonna be. Maybe I'm not the best person to ask because obviously, I'm not a Star Wars fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that in comparison to, let's say, Episode 1, which yes has Jar Jar in it, I would say Jar Jar episode is better than this one.
I'm going to be watching it tonight.
Because I think at least you get a Darth Maul fight in there,
Yeah.
and that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
You know what I want you to do? Keep an eye on see if Brooklyn Popcorn is out there. I might be taking myself some caramel popcorn home and turning this into a Star Wars night. And I suggest
jealous.
everybody do the same.
You know what? Maybe I should watch Rogue One because that's the one I didn't see, which is not an episode.
good.
It's not an episode, but it's like a fake episode.
It's like in between.
It's a prequel.
No.
It sets up the original.
Now, the Rogue One, right? Is that Rogue from X-Men? Did she make a move over?
It's a crossover,
And if
I
she
think.
touches. And this is my dream right now, is to do Star Wars crossover with Star Trek.
Oh,
and let's see who's finally going to win. Captain Kirk or Jar Jar Binks? Or Jar Binks. Sorry, we're all grown up now.
Jar Binks.
You want it on.
I think the little robot from the new ones is just as bad as Jar Jar. If you think about it, they're both made to make
Soccer
toys.
ball?
No, soccer ball is pretty cute.
Soccer ball is just as bad though. It's just there for children to like buy toys and be a fan of.
Vito, I want you to come over and watch it tonight, and I'm going to probably dose you with acid. See how it works out.
Mark Norman is coming in studio. Mark's performing this weekend at the Comedy Addict in Bloomington, Indiana. ComedyAddict.com for tickets. MarkNormanComedy.com for all of Mark's dates. And Tuesdays with Stories is available now on Apple Podcasts. Mark Norman's in studio. Mark's performing this weekend at the Comedy Addict. That's in Bloomington, Indiana. ComedyAddict.com for tickets.
But you sounded sad about that, Chris, as if it wasn't an exciting thing.
It's
He's
a
going to
happy
Bloomington.
thing.
Bloomington, Indiana.
That's good.
Real college town.
We were, it is. It's, the university is there.
Yes.
That's true.
That's all they got.
Do you remember what movie, big movie, Oscar-winning movie about being in college in that town?
Hoosiers?
No.
Damn it.
This was an Oscar winner, I believe, 1979. Ends with a
79.
bicycle race. The locals were cutters against the college kids.
Breaking away.
Breaking away, yeah. So you should rent a bike, go around and
Good.
speak Italian to girls. That movie... that
was great.
Yeah, it was a great movie, and I believe the first time we saw Dennis Quaid.
Oh,
in
what
a
a hunk.
film.
Really?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
quite the young
I find
hunk.
him to be very hunky.
Yeah?
Very hot.
Yeah.
I prefer his brother.
Do you?
Yeah, I think his
Interesting.
brother's the looker in the family.
He's funnier for sure.
Yeah.
That was a great movie, and I watched that about a year ago, and it's wildly different than how people act now.
Yeah.
It's so much different. It's so different how much we've changed as a society. We've all gotten softer. They just go into a college and start beating people up.
Yes.
You know, then they go to the quarry and drink all day.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And that wasn't like, it wasn't like Porky's where it was
Right.
elevated. This was actually the way people lived in those days. So you would wake up when you were back then and your mom would say, "How was last night?" It was like, "Good, but we got in a fight."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you would tell your mom, "We got in a pretty big fight."
Oh, yeah.
And you weren't like gangs or whatever, but also I don't think people allowed their friends to get hit back then without jumping into it.
Oh, completely.
You know?
Yeah.
And also, this is pre-internet, pre-phone. Vandalism was like a pastime.
It was something to do.
Yes, and I grew up in the 90s, and there was quite a bit of vandalizing. We made a whole thing out of it. We used to hang out of cars and knock off side view mirrors with our shoes.
Ours was more of mailboxes.
Mailbox
you
baseball?
Yeah, well, no, you would use your hand, or when you were just walking down the street, you would run into a mailbox.
That seems painful.
And knocked it down. The first time I was arrested, I think we were 14 or 15, it was St. Patrick's night, and me and my buddies were drinking Irish whiskey, and as we were walking, we would run into mailboxes. And He may have had a uniform, but I consider him a crack detective who followed the broken mailboxes until he saw us just sitting there drinking whiskey. And we were all we went to jail that night, but were fined, not even probation.
Really?
Fined, yeah. And one of our dads put up the mailboxes again.
Wow.
Wasn't any of us.
Good dad. My dad would have made me do it.
Yeah, well, we didn't have this kind of dads. They knew we could never put up mailboxes.
Yeah.
That was a skill that was beyond them. But you're a movie guy?
I love movie. I went to film school.
Where at?
New York Film Academy. Real racket. Don't go. It's a sham. It's a hoax.
I've seen the buses and I've seen
They bus all these kids, and I had kids from Prague and Italy and Australia, and there was one camera. We all had to learn how to use it, like looking around it.
Yeah.
And I learned how to edit. That was about it. But aside from that,
hands-on, right?
it's pretty hands-on, but there's no equipment. We're all packed into a classroom. It was brutal. We all had sex. So that was cool.
Okay.
We all
That's
got
good.
banged a bunch of foreign dudes.
Prague,
But it was fun.
What was the dream, though? You're a young man. You're going to that academy.
It was Woody. I just want to be Woody Allen. I want to be New York. I want to be Manhattan. I want to be Annie Hall.
Yeah.
Touch my daughter. The whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah, but then I realized, there's actors involved, and I got to set up a grip thing and lighting and a gaffer. I was like, this sucks. I just want to do things. I got to rely on everybody. Then the actors are late and they're annoying and they're prima donnas and all that. So I got into comedy.
Yeah, there is no possible way, no matter how good of a director you are, to that film to turn out as good as the one that's in your head.
Yeah.
That's
Hear,
the
hear.
fucking problem.
Great. Well said.
That's the problem.
Even a script is like that. Even a script, you have a concept of a movie and you want to write it out and you're like, this is going to be awesome. And you could be halfway through and you're like, this isn't anything like I wanted it to be.
Totally.
At all.
Yeah.
And like, that's just you. Like, that's on just you. So then you add all those other factors to it, like money and other people and people's
Just
opinions.
hoping it all works out.
Yeah.
And then you do this whole procedure, and then you show it to people and they go, I kind of hated it.
But the thing about Woody is he does it constantly and doesn't care how it comes out. Like, he doesn't get upset that the movie didn't work out the way he wanted.
Well, he's like the George Carlin, where there's so much stuff that you can find good in all of it, but there's a lot of bad.
Yeah. But there was a run that he had.
Who?
Woody.
Yeah.
That had to go on for almost 20 years, if not more, where I would say 95% of that stuff was great.
That's why you need a little pressure. If you're allowed to do everything you want, you need a little pushback. It's good for art, I think.
I'm going to tell you right now, Netflix proves that.
Yes.
These Netflix
Here.
movies.
It's too
Unwatchable.
much. Too much.
Unwatchable.
Slow down. Take your time. Don't just take the money. Work on it. Hone it.
Yeah.
There's no honing.
No, they don't hone at all. And you can see it like Netflix is really great for the artist, but we're getting worse art. That's the problem with
Totally.
Well, like part of the reason why like film students, what they, whenever you make like, a student film or something and it's bad, part of it is because they're young. But another part of it is just because, like, they're allowed to do what they want.
They're allowed to experiment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's part of
we have to tell them over and over again, and this is going on since the beginning of film school, but we do want story. You know what I mean? Like, that's great that you got a fucking spider crawling over something.
100%.
But I want a story.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, I felt that way so much about the new Lynch Twin Peaks. It's like he came back and he was really allowed to really do everything he wanted to do. And I loved the first season of Twin Peaks. I thought it was great. And then when I watched, Lynch allowed to do whatever he wanted, I was like,
he's a nut.
I like him reined in a little
You
bit.
gotta rein.
And like, I realized how much I crave story and character.
Yeah.
It's like, one surreal scene leading into the next. And I was just like, it's cool looking, but I don't know what's happening, and I feel like I want to feel someone grow and change, and like not just talk.
That's why I think Richard Linklater is such a great fucking writer director. It's weird. Like, I think I'm more into writer directors because I feel like, okay, I'm really getting them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Their point of view. The whole thing.
That whole thing, which it's tough to do. But somebody had pointed out to me that Woody's best stuff he wrote with other people, not just on his own.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that wrote Annie Hall with him? Also wrote the book for Jersey Boys, and
Marshall Brickman, which we know very little about, but he was on Manhattan. He was on and maybe even the Hannah and her sisters.
Wow,
some of the really, really brilliant stuff.
And it's funny because we were just talking about that same thing with Wes Anderson. Is that we felt like maybe the ones that he co-wrote with Owen Wilson kind of,
Did anybody see the dog puppet movie over the weekend?
No, I said I was going to, but I didn't see it.
I saw it twice.
Did you?
No, I've never heard of it.
No, it's Isle of Dogs. It's Wes Anderson directs the stop action thing. Yeah, that's my problem with it too.
Yeah, well, it's like the Larry David Seinfeld. It's like the milk and the coffee. You get just those later years of Seinfeld. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Gross.
And everyone forgets. That for the last couple seasons of Seinfeld, we bitched. We're like, what the hell was that?
It was cartoony and weird, but I'll say Curb. Always great. Love Curb. I'm a big Larry guy.
Yeah, me too.
Love Larry.
Although the last season didn't do a lot for me.
It was a little wacky.
Yeah.
But
They
I
took
just
a
love
long.
him.
I mean, it's tough to take a long time. Did you see the big Roseanne cast out there?
I did. They are big.
They will. I can't imagine that this series is going to be good.
Wow.
I can't. Could it be?
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Oh, I won't.
I'm very interested to see what happened. I mean, I loved that show so
Great
much
show.
as a kid.
Again, first few seasons were brilliant.
Yeah.
Then got nuttier and nuttier and nuttier.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Of
Well,
course.
so did she.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting remake. They're remaking Martin, Roseanne. They did Full House. Hoping for Cosby. No, joking.
But it'll just be the trial.
Mark Norman's in studio. Mark's performing this weekend at the Comedy Addict in Bloomington, Indiana. ComedyAddict.com for tickets. And go to marknormancomedy.com for all of Mark's dates. And his podcast, Tuesdays with Stories, is available now on Apple Podcasts.
Great.
I feel bad. I've been here 6 minutes. I've already brought up Woody Allen and Cosby. I gotta cool it.
Your heroes.
Yeah.
So Manson.
Yeah.
He was a fun guy.
Harvey had some good ideas.
Yeah. I would go to Harvey's movies no matter what, sight unseen back
Movies
in the
are
90s.
great. With Pulp Fiction, all the Miramax stuff was fun.
And I had the Miramax stuff was way better than the Weinstein. But I had him on the show 3 times.
What?
And every time some of the funnest conversations I've ever had.
Is that right?
About film, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then after that, he would text me, and I would kick back like, "Hey, we got to do this more often. You should be hosting a show here or do a podcast." And he was like, "I just might take you up on it." And I'm just like, "Well, this is great. Maybe I'll end up in a giant scandal one day."
Yeah. Holy
But
shit.
I always knew that he was a screamer and cut other people's films and stuff like that. I never heard any of the
That
rape
he's kind
stuff.
of vindictive with his.
Oh yeah. But he was like a bit like he came out of that business guy point of
Right.
view.
Yeah.
But I had the guy knew more about movies than anybody that you've ever met. Like if you love movies, he can talk to you about any film.
Wow.
That you want to, not even just his films.
Yeah.
And I thought he was incredibly charismatic too.
Interesting. I only heard bad things. Like he wanted all the power and he would take all your money and he's like, I'll give you a little bit of money, but I get all of it in the end. And
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
But those, Tarantino didn't have that relationship with him. Tarantino, it seemed like Harvey even feared him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Tarantino did at least 2 things that Harvey didn't want him to. He didn't want the Kill Bill to be as long as it was, and he cut that into it. And then that other one that he did with Robert Rodriguez.
Dust Till Dawn?
Yeah. Fucking Harvey didn't want Rodriguez's film in it at all. He just wanted to release
Grindhouse.
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 Yeah, and Tarantino was like, "No, I got to see it that way." But I saw that in a theater and saw people get up and leave after the first film, not knowing there was
Really?
during the trailer park. Yeah,
Damn. But it was so short. Or was it both an hour and a half each?
yeah, they were fairly. Yeah, it was about an hour and a half each.
Oh,
and
wow.
I like Rodriguez, not as much as when I was younger, but I didn't like that one.
Mhm.
And that's probably Tarantino's weakest movie. But the stunt stuff that he shot, incredibly
Yeah,
great.
really.
With the girl in the car
Oh,
while they're
that's great.
driving.
Oh, yeah, that
I
was
was fucking
crazy.
standing up in the theater a couple of times. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna see a girl get killed.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater too, and it whizzed by for me. I just liked it.
You're a Tarantino guy?
I am, yeah. I know he bites a lot of Scorsese and all that, but he's so him. When you see a Tarantino movie, you're like, this is a Tarantino.
I agree 100%. And I always felt that from the beginning. But a lot of people bitch about, this thing came. But, it's like seeing a comic, and if he's making you laugh, and they're like, don't you see the Attell there? And I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? But
he's great.
Yeah, he's solid Attell, loved Attell. But he's not lifting jokes from him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he's doing shit that Tarantino would never dream of doing.
Right.
Like weird rape scenes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Get medieval on your ass.
Yeah.
Changing the order. I mean, I've seen Pulp Fiction 8 million times. I'm such a fan. I would go back and YouTube all the, what does this mean? What's the secret behind that? Look at this. This calls back to that in Reservoir Dogs, and it's all fun stuff.
Isn't that amazing when you see, like, you go back and watch one of those things, and you're like, oh, they slowly were changing color, as he was going in it. I'm like, I would have never picked up on that in a million years. I would have never known that. Or like, look at these pictures. That's like, shows you what's going to happen later. I'm like, oh, that's over my fucking head.
Yeah, but then you start wondering, did it go into my subconscious and I realize this is great?
I wonder that too.
Yeah.
Did I totally miss it?
Maybe that just happens when something is well thought out. Like you can feel that it's.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, like for the same
Textured,
reason. You know that you're in the hands of somebody.
Totally.
Right.
Because I watched that Kubrick stuff, and I could watch that forever about what different shit really meant, not the story that he was telling you.
Yeah. It's all very fascinating.
Chris, you don't even have a favorite filmmaker, or do you have one?
I would be Tarantino.
Oh,
still,
there you go.
Oh yeah. And I'm excited for the Manson movie coming out.
Yes,
I'm wondering.
First biopic.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that's going to be, because the Manson story has probably been told during my lifetime more than any other story. You know what I mean? Any other murder story.
Yeah.
Manson, I've read multiple books. I've had people on. It's almost up there with like the JFK stuff.
Is there a cast that's out?
Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are signed on.
Is he Manson, Leo?
They haven't said who's Manson. They said they're signed on to the movie.
Ooh, baby doll. Can I ask you this? You're I don't know, were you born in the 30s?
Yeah, 1930s.
Yeah, well, you must have been around for the big Oregon, there's a new documentary on Netflix. It's unbelievable. I couldn't stop watching the series, so I barely made it today. It's called Wild Wild Country, and it's all about the cult in Oregon that built their own city.
Yeah.
Were you around for that?
No, I'm not familiar with this at all.
I don't think it was that big of a news thing. I mean, it should have been. It's bananas what was going on in there. You got to watch it on Netflix. It's unreal.
I was just talking to Bobby Kelly about this yesterday, and we were like, how many comics could have started a cult or even a church? You know what I mean? Because most of those guys are able to get people's attention and get them to come back. You know?
Kinnison had that kind
Kinnison
of...
would have been a cult leader. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, interesting.
And he was, he was a minister in his, background. But if you look at different people that, let's suppose, in the middle of those laughs, they start saying, and the government doesn't want you, you're going to be safer here. It's about having that ability to speak.
I agree with you with the persuasion and all that, but we're not organized enough.
There's a problem.
So it's butting heads there. You can't have a leader and a commune and Kool-Aid. We can't even make Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it all goes bad for them too. Like it's never, it's never a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Like that Kool-Aid shit is a bad way to end anything. We're all going to poison ourselves.
But that didn't hurt Kool-Aid, surprisingly.
No.
They kept going.
Yeah. Well, black people, they're not going to let something like that turn them off.
I grew up on it as well.
But I've been, getting back to the Manson, for some reason I've been obsessed with that fucker.
How can you not be?
And a lot of it has to go through just what we're talking about, like that mind control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Someone with that much power. And then he was also like had a weird, cool vibe. I mean, like he had...
He's a 60s guy.
Yeah, so he had like a kind of counterculture,
Hippy dippy, yeah. And then they're always like, well, Koresh, very good looking guy.
Yeah.
So what? I went to high school with good looking guys. They're all working they're line cooks, know? I hate when they say that.
Yeah.
But they're getting blown all day.
Yeah. Well, then it becomes the thing right away. Is like all the chicks should be with me. They're always like, yeah. You can go back to your husband, but we're cucking him.
Yeah.
That's part of what.
That's part of the thing.
What was that again, Lord?
I think I was
bang her. Okay, gotcha.
I'm supposed to have a bunch of wives. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't these people ever in the cult? I mean, I guess you're so brainwashed, but don't they realize like this is all working out for him? All the messages he's getting from the great power, Allah, Messiah. It's getting him blown, and he's getting food first, and he's got a nice shower.
But it always does. Like
it always falls apart.
Yeah, but like, look how much people love Steve Jobs, and all the money was going to him. You know what I mean? Like we do like a charismatic guy who gets everything.
Yeah.
The Russians love this fucking Putin.
Yeah.
Love him because it makes them feel stronger. They're following a strong man.
Yeah.
Right. But at least Jobs did some shit. Some good shit. He got us, the whole music library.
Yeah.
All that touch screen, streaming.
So he should get all the billions.
Yes.
I mean, because he didn't make any of those things himself.
He just thought of it?
No. He was just like, what are you guys working on? Okay, how can we use that?
Make it
But
simpler.
They said he couldn't
really?
code, and he couldn't, like, Wozniak was the guy who put that thing together. And then as soon as it was rolling, he was like, okay, Woz, I got this from here.
Yeah.
Get some more guys in.
What about Gates?
Big Bill Gates. I don't know much. I mean, these guys were billionaires when they were in their early 20s.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that thing of you still haven't figured out life, yet you managed to get billions of dollars?
Right.
And none of them seem to have fun. I remember when I was younger, the whole thing was, this guy is so smart, he retired at 40. You know what I mean? You never see anyone retire from these businesses. They just keep going and working 14-hour days.
You know who seems cool and chilled out is Warren Buffett. He kind of seems like he's all right. Like he's well-adjusted. He eats like an Egg McMuffin every day, drinks a Coke every day.
You know why? He's autistic.
Is he?
He's autistic.
I didn't know that.
There's a Netflix documentary on him.
Oh, I'll watch that tonight.
He's like, if the stocks are up, I get the sausage McMuffin and cheese.
No,
and that's $2.38. If I don't, I get the other one. That's $1.59.
I didn't know
And he sits there and fucking play. Yeah, and he eats in his car, and he's
Guess that would make you pretty chill.
Yeah, I guess so. But don't leave him around a puppy. He'll squeeze it to death.
Hold on. You plug, and then I got to go to this call, Chris.
no
There's
idea.
a mind blower here.
Mark Norman's in studio. Mark's performing this weekend at the Comedy Attic in Bloomington, Indiana. Go to comedyattic.com for tickets. MarkNormanComedy.com for all of Mark's dates. And Tuesdays with Stories is available now on Apple Podcasts.
With your accent, it sounds like someone is addicted to comedy. It's Comedy Addict.
Comedy Addict.
I know. I've
Comedy
been noticing it, but I didn't want to just bust your balls for it. But the whole time I'm like, sounds like addict. Yeah, addict.
But I think it's almost a better name. I think it kinda works.
Why not?
I like it. Most of us are.
Craig in Madison, you tell us we're wrong about something.
Uh-oh.
Hi, you guys are defaming the Kool-Aid guy.
Yeah.
First of all, in Guyana with Jim Jones, it was Flavo-Aid, which is where Flavo Flav got his name.
Never heard of this before in my life.
I love it.
Yeah.
Drinking the Kool-Aid is a myth. Look it up on the internet. It's Flavo-Aid.
Well, just because it's on the internet doesn't make it right. But I'm going to be honest.
I researched this shit.
I'm glad that you do. Craig, I'm glad there's someone out there like you willing to get. But I'd never even heard of Flavo-Aid.
I've heard of it.
Yeah?
It's the knockoff. It's the
The black
Hydrox.
Kool-Aid for the people that can't afford the good stuff.
I didn't know that Kool-Aid was expensive. Did you find it, Chris?
Yeah, he used grape-flavored Flavor Aid.
Craig?
Yes.
You're going to the pretty good prize closet because we're never going to make this mistake again.
Yeah. How sad is your life where you're like, oh, Kool-Aid's a little high end.
Yeah, that's too much for me.
Got to go down to Flavo.
Kids, you're getting Flavo and some Hydrox. You must have got the knockoff shit, huh?
All the time, all the time.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything on brand in my household. It was
Like what? With like cereal? Would you get brand cereal or?
No. It would be like America's Best.
Yes.
Like I think it was America's Best was the
Same.
brand.
And we got the bag.
Oh,
The
not even a
bag.
box?
No, not even a box. Bag was the worst. So sad.
So did you realize, hey, we're poor than other
No, we had money, but we were just, my mom was the most frugal lady on the planet.
Well, I don't know if she needs to be wasting money on fucking cereal anyway.
I agree. Just extra cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what was your dream cereal, Chris, that you never get the chance?
Oh, that was like Captain Crunch. That was what I
Really?
as a child. That's what I wanted. Yeah.
And what did you get? Lieutenant kind of country?
Lieutenant Song.
Private Loser fucking flakes. Yeah, it was bad. It was, but it was just like it was just that same brand. That or Krasdale. Krasdale was also a big brand in the Stanley household.
Never heard of this before.
I think it's like a local New York, like just knockoff brand of other products. It was really bad.
But those things that they're like tricks, but then they're really faded. You know what I mean? Like they don't even have the same color as tricks.
Yeah. We had a Czech cola.
Czech cola.
It was from the Republic.
ShopRite brand sodas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just store brand of the product. That was.
Now, did you ever go shopping with your mom and attempt to put a Coke in the cart?
Oh no, she wouldn't have that. Like, what?
You never went with your mom?
I would go and I would try to do that. She'd be like, "No, this is ShopRite. We're in the ShopRite. We're gonna be drinking the ShopRite cola or ShopRite like fucking lemon lime Sprite, whatever."
How much did she fucking save though?
It is all the same though. It all tastes. You can't tell the difference between Dr. Pepper and Dr. Salt or whatever it is. But it's all the same.
Honey, this Dr. Salt is just as delicious.
Yeah, a lot of sodium.
Yeah.
But it's all just a self-esteem thing. It just fucks with your psyche. That's what you're paying for, the psyche.
You were right about that. It's just the same way they give a kid with sneakers.
Right.
You know, you feel better when you're not wearing the discounted sneakers.
Yes.
We would go to Payless for my shoes. It was a fucking train wreck. It was always just like, it wasn't like an Adidas. It was like an Adidas with like an extra stripe.
Yeah.
So
4 stripes.
Yeah, it was like, it's kind of like an Adidas.
Did you feel bad though? Did you feel not up to what the other kids were doing?
like I knew how broke we were. My parents like didn't try to hide it at all. They're like, omelets again for dinner tonight, or whatever it would be. Yeah.
Omelet sounds like a delicious meal.
It's great.
Yeah.
I fucking love breakfast for dinner.
It was most dinners were egg based.
But were they ostrich eggs? Something she got? A big
quail.
Yeah.
Off-brand.
Vito, what about your family? Did you
the biggest issue was Payless because they had Shaqs. And my mom thought Shaq was naturally a good basketball player, so his shoe must have been a good shoe. And then I got fucking mocked and harassed for showing up with Shaq
But
shoes.
I remember that Shaq went out of he was the first person who says, I want every kid to be able to afford. So he'd have the expensive shoe and then the less expensive, and he felt like he was doing good, but you were being called...
I was getting called poor, I was getting called names, and I showed up proud, like I have Shaqs. And the logo, instead of like Jordan was the jump man, the Shaq was him dunking, like 2 hands crouched, and his shoes didn't even come in boxes. They were clipped onto a hanger.
I thought you were going to say they came in cereal bags.
There was something that, and they still might make it, but have you ever heard of powdered milk?
Yes.
I think it was used for the military first. And there's nothing milkish about it. How could there be?
Yeah, it was
And
gross.
It's the grossest thing that you've ever seen
Yeah,
in your life.
My dad grew up poor. The whole thing, military kid, scary guy, and he would pour. He was such like a badass guy that he would pour. He would eat granola every day, and if he couldn't find milk, he would just pour orange juice in it or water.
Right.
And I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "It's liquid."
Yeah.
I was like, "Jesus, what an animal! Grape juice, whatever."
Yeah, what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was nuts.
But like you said, he probably survived some wars.
Yeah, he actually did.
that was the attitude that kept him alive when most of the platoon died.
We usually use German blood.
Were you scared of your dad?
Oh yeah. Oh, he was the dad's home shit. You run and hide. Terrifying man. Now he's on antidepressants, which is weird because you go over there and he's like, "Hey, Mark, how are you?" And I'm like, I'm still flinching. But good guy, nonetheless, supportive and all that, but terrifying.
I remember I said to my kids when you guys were little, I go, that man that's here who claims he's my dad is not the person I grew up with. Because my dad got very, he was a stressed, driven guy. And then, once his kids moved out and we started having kids, he became, the best grandfather.
I know. He's like a sweetheart. And then he would be like, that dude you guys know is not my dad.
Yeah, same.
He's someone else.
Even though he wasn't violent with us or whatever, but
he was never like he never was gruff with us or said like, "Hey, this is the rules of the house."
Yeah.
Like he was just a really sweet guy that we like to just sit around and like he would tell us stories.
But
you know what I mean?
Right.
My dad's thing was he could not understand why somebody would make the wrong choice. Like why somebody would decide to go drinking or smoke weed or skip school. It never got into his head. It's like, why? What are you talking about?
Why wouldn't I want to skip school? What are you, crazy?
And I remember he said to me when I was always getting in trouble, and he says, "Do you realize yet nothing good happens after midnight?" I'm like 14. I'm like, everything good.
Yeah.
Everything I want is in the middle of the night.
I'm trying to be a nightclub comedian here, Dad.
He just didn't understand making the poor choice. But we did have brand name cereal, peanut butter, all the things that you guys have no idea.
Quit
Just,
rubbing it
we
in.
were just straight brand name.
Hunt's ketchup, mostly Hunt's ketchup. To this day, it's slowly
Hunt's?
Hunt's, yeah.
A lot
To
of
this
that.
day, still enjoy Hunt's ketchup over.
Oh, you pick it now because
Now I
you
pick
like it.
Yeah, because it's like slightly off from like Heinz, but I like it. I like that fucking weird taste, like more vinegary.
Stockholm ketchup.
There was there was this story about Prince. Like he had his own baker, and the guy would make cakes, and like he was like, "No, this is terrible." Every night, and finally, the guy made a box cake, and Prince said, "That's it. That's what I meant. You made the perfect cake because that's what he ate when he was a kid.
Right. He wanted
ate,
that comfort.
like an instant cake, and that's what you want. That's why, like Chinese people, they're like, "Oh, I had such a bad day at work tonight. I just want to have some greens and shovel them in," because that's what their mom gave them.
Right.
Yeah.
Where we're like, "What is the most carbohydrate? Carbs I want."
Bread cheese. Is there bread cheese around?
What the
Would
hell's
that be your
that?
number one?
Yeah, just some bread with melted cheese. That's all.
Cheesed bread.
Cheese bread, thank you.
We literally should open up a restaurant called that. You shouldn't even be talking about that until you get every patent down. Welcome to bread cheese. Here's some bread and some cheese.
Good, I was hungry.
Yeah, we'll be back with a larger loaf of bread and more cheese.
Just like your disappointed mom made.
Mark Norman's in studio. Mark's performing this weekend at the Comedy Attic in Bloomington, Indiana. ComedyAttic.com for tickets. MarkNormanComedy.com for all of Mark's dates. And Tuesdays with Stories is available now on Apple Podcasts. We actually have to break one more time for the end of the show.
Well, then do it.
Okay. Bennington will be right back.
We were just spending a little time talking about cults because we love them so much now. Mark has turned us on to Wild Wild West, which we'll be watching.
Wild Wild Country.
Wild Wild Country. Wild Wild West was the Will Smith movie.
Which I
That
also will be watching tonight.
Can I tell you something? That was the only real glance to steampunk, and I think people needed to see it.
Yeah.
Chris, do a little plug here.
Mark Norman's in studio. He's performing this weekend at the Comedy Attic in Bloomington, Indiana. ComedyAttic.com for tickets. And MarkNormanComedy.com for all of Mark's dates. Tuesdays with Stories is available now on Apple Podcasts.
I was in a conversation with a bunch of very funny people the other night sitting around, and we were talking about, I guess it started with that great job Joe List did on The Tonight Show, and the topic was there's certain types of things that work better on TV than in clubs. You know what I mean? Like, the short jokes will work very well on TV.
Like observational short jokes.
Observational stuff works well, and the topic was who can do just as well on both. And the unanimous pick was Mark Norman.
Wow. Who said that?
That's very cool.
I don't want to give away all the names, but all very funny people.
Wow, I'm honored. Jeez. Yeah, I just did Conan, and I had to really... I'm trying to get a little more creative with it because, I've been doing it a bunch, so I don't want to just go up and go, funny, closer, I'm out.
Yeah.
And this one, I think I got it. I did some really weird stuff and some edgy, like some stuff about how like people are too PC.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Now, how much thought do you give? You give a thought to Conan like you do no other part of your act?
No, it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's a whole different animal. It's like, hey, we got to go in. This is a piece.
Yes.
It's a 5-minute piece where you got to present to them like, you can trust me, I'm gonna be good at this, let's not make it weird, you relax, and then say what you want to say but still compromise because it's TV, and then end strong.
I
talked about Me Too. I got in there.
You give them more jokes than you normally would on stage. Do you pepper it more?
Tag, callbacks, the whole thing, just because you want to keep them laughing.
Now, this is what people don't realize, because everyone goes, hey, I'm funny. Why don't I do this 5-minute chunk that I have and take it to TV? But Mark is saying it is a different art form, just the way an artist has to adapt to whatever.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea of that too, like as though you're thinking about writing to that show in the same way that you found out you got a segment on a late night show.
Right.
You know what I mean? You wouldn't just go, how could I make my act work in a segment? You go, okay, I'm just going to write a new piece and think about it totally different. So that's cool.
A lot of great rock and roll bands would have their album and then they would go, and these are the ones that were specifically trying to put on radio.
Yes.
So the Doors didn't necessarily sound like their radio hits. You go there to be the end. I always thought that AC/DC was ridiculously, for a kind of a weird band, easily adapted to radio.
Yeah.
True, but every song sounds exactly the same with AC/DC.
Yeah.
Which is what, like we were just talking about with there's a consistency. That people go, I feel like it's something different, but it's total branding.
Yes, exactly.
But so you'll give how much thought to Conan?
I put a lot into this one because I don't know. I feel like none of my Conans really take off. I just wanted to have one like really hit, and so I really put a lot into this one, and it's doing pretty well. But again, it's not blowing the doors off anybody. But yeah, I really worked on it and sent him a lot of options, and he hated a lot, and I changed it and tweaked it. So I tried to keep it to what I wanted to do still. But yeah, I was proud of this one.
Well, good for you.
Hey, thanks.
And that's why a lot of people sit around and go, oh, here's the guy who can do it. But I don't know if everyone knows the way that he's working on it. I wouldn't have suspected that until he to Mark Twain, and I see you all the time.
Pretty meticulous.
Yeah.
It's gross. I would do it in my apartment over and over again, time it, try adding a joke, time that, take the joke out, time it. It's
You'll
pretty
just
gross.
be walking around your apartment doing that?
In my underwear, hairbrush, the whole thing. If anybody saw it, I'd kill myself. It's so embarrassing. And then they just see you go out there and do 5 minutes and do well, and they go, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Why can't I do that?
Yeah. And they're thinking, there's a guy, a lot of people think, hey, he's thought of that stuff today.
Yeah.
On the way here.
It's just on the train.
Well,
They're
they
like,
do that
I believe
movie.
you.
If there's ever a movie about a comedian, it's always like a comedian finally gets mad at the world and says what's on his mind.
Yes.
And that's all they need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So much behind the scenes. It's pretty sad.
Now, you breaking in new material, right? When you're doing that, how difficult is that to go, this is the first time I'm going to do this chunk? Do you do it on the weekends or you do it during the week?
Both.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I just did that late night. I feel like I kind of blew my load because I put all this work and energy into that, and now I'm back to square one. I got to write some new jokes, and I'm fresh out.
Yeah.
So I just got to, fail a few times, and I'll get it. So, now I'm back at the clubs bombing, and now the bombing is annoying me, so it'll motivate me to write.
Do you ever kick out on stage when you're doing new stuff? Like, I'm just going to give them something I know that works.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I like to sandwich it. You open with something strong, and then you get them on your side. Then you do the new, they hate it. Then you go back to the tried and true.
It really is funny to see, a killer set, and then the audience somehow can tell that something isn't.
That's
you know
so
what I mean?
true.
I don't know whether there's.
You're like, I smell a lack of confidence.
It is more like smell than see it or hear it.
Yes,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know how when you're sitting with a guy you know is gay and he's like, man, pussy's great. And you're like, no straight guy talks like that. But he's doing all the right things, but it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like with new jokes.
You're literally living a lie on stage.
Trying to fake confidence, the whole thing.
Like everyone, you look at and everyone's just squinting at you like,
yeah.
I think this is true.
You know when you have weed in your pocket and a cop walks next to you at the traffic light and you're like, how would I act normally now? It's like that.
Yeah. How do I walk past this gentleman without there being anything? Well, I think it's, while I was telling him off stage, I go, you are literally doing everything that you want it to do. Because, again, yes, there is a Kevin Hart out there.
Yeah.
We all get that.
I don't want to be Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I want to be John Mulaney, Tom Segura, Chad Daniels. These, do what you want. You can still walk through an airport.
Right.
But you're telling jokes. You have a few fans. You can sell out a club. You write your stuff you like. Like Bill Burr is a guy. That's what I want to be. He goes and sits on the couch at Conan, killing, being himself. He's found his thing, and people love him for it.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
But then you have that. Can you maintain that? You know what I mean? Because as soon as it falls a little bit, you're
Yeah.
like, shit, I should have went higher so they could have fallen back to this point.
I hear you, but I think like a Dane Cook rise and fall is crazy. But
Yeah.
he was came out of the gate like, on PCP, kicking the doors open. I feel like Bill Burr just worked it,
Yeah.
found who he was, and he'll just do that forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key.
All right, so Bill Burr is the dream for you, right?
Yeah, well, it was Louis C.K.
Yeah, yeah.
But he got screwed.
Have you tried the kind of writing that he does, though, with scripts and...
I am not that talented.
Yeah.
I can't. I've tried scripts, and I've pitched 9 TV shows,
Yeah.
and 0 have gone, so...
I'll tell you, I saw one of the shows that he produced in a non-Louis year, and I'm like, I don't know what he did behind the scenes, but it was something. You know what I
Why?
mean?
Was
Like,
that good of a show?
Yeah, I felt like, and I don't want to say what it is, it's baskets, but I felt like, when this started, I'm like, this is kind of a weird, they're walking and then this year, I'm like, not exactly walking that same thread the same way.
Right. You think there might be a vision or
I
even
don't
just
know.
like a tastemaker kind of thing. And
Sometimes
happening.
you call the guy up and say, here's our script. And he goes, what if you change this, this, and this, and they're the right thing?
Yeah.
So what
Right.
if you book this guy? Or, there's something on that show that worked, but maybe they pushed it too much after that. That's the kind of shit that we at home don't know what everybody does, but you start to go where, that's not the same. You know?
Yeah.
I would say that was Silicon Valley. Or when that thing started, I'm like, what a brilliant show.
Yeah.
And then I was like, is this show lazy or is it always been shit? I can't tell.
Every
You know?
plot is, I like that show, but it feels like, and I have friends on it, so I feel bad saying it, but every episode was the same arc.
Yeah.
Something bad happens, they all freak out, and then they figure it out in the end. And that's every episode.
Yeah, if you start the beginning of the episode winning, you end losing.
Yeah, 'cause they
And
do
then-
that too.
And they do, it's what was that Marky Mark show?
Entourage.
Entourage is very much the same thing as Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
That same kind of, we got it. It's not working out. We're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Not working
The
out.
movie's back on.
Yeah. Well, here's like, hey, we got the big app.
Right. Stallone, talk to me.
Yeah.
It's always something.
One plug, and then we got to let Mark Norman go, and we're ending the show then, Chris.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Mark Norman's been in studio. Mark's performing this weekend at the Comedy Attic in Bloomington, Indiana. ComedyAttic.com for tickets. MarkNormanComedy.com for all of Mark's dates. And on Apple Podcasts, his podcast, Tuesdays with Stories.
Love them. Thanks so much.
Oh,
buddy.
thanks. That was fun. You guys are the best.
We'll see you next time.
Take
That's it
care.
for us. See you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!